All right, then here we go. So this is another episode of the Uncivilized Arts podcast. I'm your host Bumi Hazan, but I go by Bandit Hayes in the online space, and I'm back with Celeste Orchid in the amazing cosplay that she did all for us, which is awesome. We're going to be talking about Love, Death, and Robots, the Netflix series. We're going to get into like all kinds of spoilers and things like that. And a little bit later on, I'll give you guys a warning when the spoiler section's coming in. But before that, we'll do like a kind of a brief, non-spoilery review. But before that, Mrs. Celeste Orchid. So
You want to
yeah.
say Lady Celeste Orchid?
Oh, I keep forgetting. My bad. My bad.
I don't know. It's okay.
I'm
I just
sorry,
like.
Lady Celeste Orchid.
I was wondering.
I keep
Anyway,
forgetting. It's because you know what it is. There's way too many commoners in the world, right? And
I know.
obviously, you're not a commoner. But because there's so many commoners, I get used to addressing the common folk, and then I forget
Oh,
when I'm not talking to a commoner. That's that's
sorry,
that's what it is.
peasants.
Lady Celeste Orchid. But yeah, we're just talking a moment ago about the cosplay you're making. It was the oh damn, I forgot again. Flipping out. The fab. So what's the fabric called
Are you
again?
talking about the plush velvet?
But
Plush
plush, yeah,
fleece?
plush velvet fleece
Oh
that
yeah,
you've posted
yeah.
on your stories. So yeah, what was you planning on making with that? What's the
Oh,
cosplay? Are you allowed to say, or is it a secret?
oh, absolutely. I finished it long ago. So, I started a few nights ago, but to make like kind of a sorcerer everyday kind of like clothing piece, so I could go out in public without being too extravagant, quote unquote, with like armor and
Mm.
stuff. And I wanted to really feel Yen Sid. So, do you remember Fantasia, the Mickey with the pointing of the stars and the
Right. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
yeah, okay. So the guy that's bald with the butterfly, the beginning part, I
Okay, I
wanted to
don't remember that
channel
well,
his
but okay.
and okay, well don't worry. So the guy that Nick like takes care of Mickey, I wanted to channel his energy into an outfit, but make it more my aesthetic. And so I could wear it anytime. And that's what I did. So I made kind of a sorcerer robe, but more feminine in this
Oh,
really cool
okay.
fabric. Actually, I have it. I have it right here. So the fabric is a navy with gold birth charts and astrological signs. This is like a cut piece, but you can see how shiny this stuff is. So really, I can't wear it to going to the grocery store, but that's not going to stop me.
I mean, you can, like, I mean, so here's the thing. I feel like you could, if you wanted to, right? You could wear like the most extravagant dress, and yeah, just go Tesco's or something.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're talking to a girl who went to her senior prom and went and played DDR at an arcade. This is aging myself, I know. But,
Okay, yeah, yeah,
dancing
yeah, yeah, yeah,
in
yeah,
high
yeah.
heels and a prom dress, that's not going to stop me. I'm going to do what I feel like. And we did it. We're like, oh, yeah, let's go dancing. And we went and played on a video game machine. Uh,
That's
very,
got. You
very
know what?
nostalgic.
To my mind, playing DDR in hills, that's gotta hurt, right? That sounds painful. That
Slightly. It can be painful if you're not broken in your shoes. Luckily, I'm a hoe that loves high heels.
fair enough.
So, like, if the heels aren't broken in, yes, it'll hurt. If your heels just suck, yes, those would suck. And I guess it's just getting in the right shoe and working with it. But for me, it was totally okay. And most of the time, when I play DDR, I'm not flat footed. I'm more on the balls of my feet, anyways. So it's not like I have to like push super crazy hard or like be flat footed because you want to move your feet and stuff. So yeah,
Okay. So there's a tip for anybody who wants to be was it a hoe in high heels?
yeah,
So,
hoe in high
make
heels.
sure make sure
You
you
don't have
break
to
it.
be a hoe in high heels. You can be fabulous in high heels too. Okay, there's nothing wrong with either or. You could totally just want to wear high heels. I firmly recommend it. And if you are of the male gender or masculine side of your spectrum, men were the first ones to wear high heels. So
That
we
is
can
true.
repeat history.
Yeah,
So don't
that is
think
true.
you have to be in drag or cosplay or in a costume to wear high heels. You can wear high heels whenever you want.
Yeah, that is true. I remember reading like the first heeled shoes were designed specifically for men. I mean, I can't remember what year it was supposed to be, but yeah, going back to when they first came out, they were designed for men. So yeah, dudes, I think we need to bring the high heels back to men. You know,
No,
we
no,
need to take
no. Like,
that.
okay.
Men did
So
it
this is still on
first.
topic. Hold on.
Men
So
did it
like,
first. We need to bring it back.
the
Give
other
me those
thing that
Jimmy
men can
Choos.
do is wear platforms. So like demonias and YRUs, they like these. They're also creepers. You can have like platform shoes that are like sneakers or boots that are like super tall. It's totally okay too. Technically, those are high heels because they're like, well,
Oh
no,
yeah,
I wouldn't call it a
the
high heel,
heel's
but it's a
high, but yeah,
platform, you know. So it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
the heel isn't higher than your toe, but you know, it's still, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Okay,
The heel
so
is still
these are,
high, just the toes high as well.
yeah, exactly. You're just elevated, aka platform. Moon shoe it.
Yeah, I've never tried platforms. They've always just kind of looked really uncomfortable to me. I mean, like maybe they're not. I mean, some things look uncomfortable and not really. So I'm not suggesting that they are. I'm just saying like that's one of the main reasons I've never really tried them. That they just looked a bit awkward to walk in and uncomfortable. So I don't know. Maybe one of these days I'll have to try platforms, see how I go with them.
Highly recommend. I just think like if you have a store close to you that you're able to try it, don't have to order a shoe. Just try it to say that you've had the experience, and if it's not for you, it's not, because it's mainly a mental thing. It's like, okay, you're not having to balance on anything if it's a platform because it's still a flat foot. But if you're
Yeah.
on a high heel, yeah, that stuff can get really like ballet quick. And I don't have any ballet stilettos, thank goodness, because those are the ones where it's just you're basically under your toes. Anyways,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Speaking of high
recommend
heels,
trying
actually,
platforms.
you know what kind of amazes me a bit is when women do things like driving in high heels. You know, because like what? Because the thing is like when I drive, I need my heel. I have like driving shoes where the heel is curved. And that's because like it allows me to kind of be very comfortable as I'm moving my foot on the acceleration. But if you've got
Okay.
high heels, then that's got your heel all the way back there, and then you still got to lift your. I mean, you can't see what I'm doing.
So I was like, go
All right, let me
on.
try. Like, so imagine that's my heel, right? So I've
Okay.
got my heel on the floor, and I'm pushing down on like the acceleration, or I'm letting up and that kind of thing. So I've got this kind of motion going on. But if I've
Uh-huh.
got like high heels on, then your heel has to be up there, and then you still gotta like lift your foot up to accelerate, put your foot on to accelerate, and lift it up to decelerate. You know that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
It's
like I
all the
don't.
ankle. It's all the
That's
ankle.
yeah. That's gotta be like I don't know, like that blows my mind. That blows my
No,
mind.
it's like
Women,
fucking
I know
it's
women do it.
normal to
I
me
know,
to be able to drive in high heels. Like
I know lots of women
I
do
know
it, but
that I'm
that's
like
kind
a
of
really
like,
hardcore.
is your foot like this? Like, is your going all the way back? Like,
Okay,
that's
hold on.
good.
Maybe I need to find a pair of high heels. I can show you my high like I can't show you my highest heels. That might take a moment to get out.
I'm, I'm,
Uh
I'm clearly easily impressed by, by simple
well,
things
I
that
think if I show
most
you
people
my
don't even
highest
think
heels,
about. Like,
like let's see. So okay. Well, last sidetrack about high heels really quickly. We haven't even gotten into the real podcast. We're like in this deep. Okay.
it's
Um.
fascinating. I think.
So my cosplay of Lady Dimitrescu from Resident Evil Village, I have on probably what is it, 20 centimeter heels, and that's like this tall, just to raise
Yeah.
my height. But the worst part is, people are so tall in Denmark. They look at me. They're like, "Why aren't you taller?" I'm like, "Excuse me, shut up!" And I like take off my shoe and I drop literally like from here to like here, and they're just like, "What the hell? Are you like a small person?" I'm like, "Yes." Why would you think I'm a tall person? I'm Asian. Well, I'm not Yao Ming, but Christ. And everyone's just like, don't break your ankle. I'm like, I've danced in these. This is fine. It's a normal heel on like super platform. It's nothing crazy. And then people think I'm crazy. And I'm just like, yeah, you're right. I am.
A little bit, just a little bit. Not
I
wrong,
think a little bit
crazy.
of crazy saves your sanity.
Oh no, for sure. I would 100% agree with that. I think you need to be. Also, that song, the Seal song. We're never gonna survive unless you get a little crazy. You know,
I don't think I know that
I really.
song, but
Oh, it's a
okay.
good song, but yeah, old school song now, like 90s, I think. But Never gonna
Oh my god.
survive unless. Yeah, great song. But yeah, I'd 100% agree with that. You need to be just a little bit crazy. Sometimes a little bit more than a little bit. But,
I think
you
depending on the
balance out.
situation, yes.
Yeah.
Not at the
Uh,
grocery store in heels while driving. Anyways,
well,
bye.
let's talk a little bit about well, more than a little bit actually. Let's talk a little bit about Love, Death, and Robots now. But before we get into like the whole kind of spoiler thing, all the details and everything we're going to talk about this, just as kind of a brief, very non-spoiler review slash basic opinions of the 3 seasons. What's your general thoughts on Love, Death, and Robots?
This is like the most expanded universe of different storytelling and types and uniqueness of different versions of bleakness where you can find hope. It reminds me a lot of the Animatrix, that mini series that follows
Yeah,
suit
yeah, yeah.
of the Matrix. So if you like that, you will love this. There's a lot of different kind of humor with this one, so it could strike you or it could really bore you, but it is by far an amazing animated tech like masterpiece like that I've seen within the recent decade.
Mm.
So there's my spoiler-free review. If you love the Animatrix and you love it's not anthropology, is it? That's a store. Like, you know what I mean? Like different stories compiled together. Is that anthropology? Is that the right word?
I mean, the
It's not
department store.
thesaurus. Okay, I have to look that up now. I feel
Wait,
stupid.
like a store that has different departments.
No, 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 no. A book that contains different stories. Yeah, anthology. God, I'm stupid. I was
Oh
so
wait,
close.
wait, you said
Anthropology.
story, not store. My
Anthology.
bad, I got confused. I thought you said store. I was like, wait, I thought it
No,
was about shops.
no, no, no. It's an
A story
anthology
that have
series.
right
Yes,
anthology.
I'm
Yes,
stupid.
yeah.
Anthropology. Why is so close? You know, anthropology, anthology, pathology.
Yeah,
Anyways,
but yeah,
so yeah.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, I think that the Animatrix is a pretty good comparison. Although of course Animatrix was very specific to being in the Matrix world, it was telling different stories within that world. Whereas this, whether they're all in the same world or not, is debatable. I mean, maybe they're in the same world at different times, maybe, but there
It could be
is
alternate like universes. We
it
don't
could
know.
yeah it could very well be that, but it's like all these different stories but all around love, death, and robots. Or actually no, let me set up for the spoiler section. um
Yeah.
but
I mean,
yeah,
it's
all
in the
these different
title, so
stories around that, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, overall, I would say I enjoyed it. Because it is different stories. You know, I think fair to say you can enjoy some more than others. Some felt like they had like a really deep, underlying meaning. Some of them just felt like they're just all for the fun of it, which is not wrong with that. So it's
Right.
definitely a range in themes and tones and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. And it's also just pretty cool to see like how they had different, studios and different people just kind of
Oh,
working
I
on it.
love
So you
that.
definitely get like different styles throughout, and it's never like, well, for the most part, you just getting different styles throughout. There's a couple episodes that have their sequels, I guess.
Well, they have there was a few sequels, and then they actually asked some studios to come back, and
Yeah,
then they got some new ones. So I think that's nice that they didn't just recycle the same studios, but they gave chances to newer studios.
yeah, yeah. So you have like a lot of different people working on these on the projects, which is pretty cool as well. Um, but yeah, I think that's probably about as much as I can say safely without spoiling anything. So this is now your spoiler warning.
Spoiler
If
alert!
you've indeed spoiler alert. If you've not seen Love, Death and Robots, you might want to watch that first. But if you have seen it, or if you just don't care about spoilers, then here we go. So, so yeah, like we're saying, there is a lot of different types of stories. I'm not sure what the if this is a good way to go about talking about a show like this, but we're just gonna go ahead and do it anyway. What for you was like the biggest standout? I guess that's my typical question. I mean, like this thing. What stood out to you the most out of the whole 3 seasons?
So it's the first season. The Akila's Rift stood out because I think
Right.
about that one a lot. That one trips my balls. And then Sony's Edge. I think there was one in second season, first episode where robots. I think it was exactly the first episode where it's like an old lady who gets like a cleaning robot. That
Right.
one
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
totally
Yeah.
forget. And then this one just kind of swept the cosplay scene for a little bit, but Jibaro, the last episode of season 3,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, that one just the way that it was made and the way it looks was amazing. And then when I dove deeper into it, I was kind of more disappointed. So there's that. But those are the ones that I really, really fell in love with, and that just have a constant reminder to me.
Okay. Well,
An
which?
honorable
Oh, sorry.
mention was The Witness, and that's in
Oh,
season
right. Yeah. 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 What you borrowed then? You mentioned that you were disappointed when you dove into it. What was it that you were, I guess, hoping for, and what did it not deliver on for you when you dove into
So,
it?
okay, so when I was like watching it, I was like, okay, so this is supposed to be a siren. She's dancing and she's attracting all these dudes. And then this guy's like deaf. And then it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, blah, blah, blah. So then she finds out that he's deaf and then she gets intrigued. And then he's all like, oh my God, you're made of gold. I'm going to beat the shit out of you and take your gold. Then later he drinks a little bit of her blood because it contaminated the river, right? And then he now has hearing. Now she realizes she's all distressed because she doesn't have any gold, and then he dies. And then she just falls back in the water. So we don't really I think it was like, okay, wait, what is this story trying to tell me? Is it just, magical siren gets her just desserts finally because she's lured so many men into their death? Or is it like, oh wow, be lucky to be deaf because someday it might actually be good for you? I don't know. So when I researched it, they were talking about how this is a metaphor for toxic relationships. And it's like,
Okay.
what? What? This is a stretch. Okay. And the
All
reason
right.
why I'm calling this a stretch is because this bitch is already killing men. So are you saying like a beautiful woman dressed in all gold is a men killer, like off the bat? And then this guy who is handicapped is already like just lucky to be normal and not being entranced by this woman to die. So it's like, okay, so
Hmm.
are you trying to tell us that asexuality is okay? I know I'm reaching with this, but then it's like, okay, when they finally get together, they both hurt each other, and I'm like, I can kind of understand that because she's like a siren, right? So she's got all these gold flakes as her skin, but he like beats her up. So I'm just like, okay, this right there is toxic, not only for her being golden and then him being human with flesh, but you know, it just seems really, really strange for this kind of tone of, oh, because he kissed her, he can't do that. And then she makes out with him and then it ends up cutting him more. So it's like, this is a really weird display of toxic relationships, how both of them are just bad for one another and they should have just kept to their separate ways. There's like a weird, do you see where I'm coming from with this? It just
Yeah.
feels really weird and forced to say, yes, this is based on toxic relationships. It's like, so she was already toxic from before, and then he just happens to be innocent deaf kid who takes advantage of her. So in his own way, he's toxic as well. And I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah. I
Do you
mean,
see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. I'm not. I mean, I don't know. Maybe. I'm sure there's metaphors that I'm not thinking of, but I'm just. It's not coming to me as to. I mean, I guess if you want to say toxic relationships, there's all kinds of different toxic relationships. It's not just one thing, which is fair to say. But in the story with this one, he's the deaf knight. Yeah, he's making that siren sounds, and all the other knights kind of Lauren getting killed, and I guess he's been doing that for however long she's been doing it for. Because he's deaf, he can't hear, and nothing's happening. But then, yeah, he's stealing her gold. So she's the killer, he's the thief. Okay,
and in
and
the end, she
then
still kills him.
in the end she kills after, yeah, because when he started to hear again. So I mean, where was the relationship bit? Like, I mean, do you know what I mean? I guess I could see the toxicity. They're both, one's a
So
thief,
the
one's a killer.
relationship part was after everyone died and he's still alive and he just runs away from her. She finds him fascinating because she's like, why didn't he chase after me? Like, why didn't he lust after me? Which I've seen
Okay,
some women be
right, right.
like, hey, do you not think I'm good enough? Like, hey, let me bat my eyelashes. Will you now notice me? Like that kind of thing. And she became really entranced with him that way. And he's like, oh, wow, there's this woman, thing on me. Oh, my God. Oh, she kissed me. And so that kind of became their relationship status, just like that. That's how you form a relationship now.
Mm.
And I'm just like, okay, I could see it. And then she even slept next to him. So that's kind of insinuated R word. So it's just kind of like
Mm.
not
Yeah,
consensual.
yeah. I guess it is there. I mean, I guess it's. I mean, maybe I have to watch it again and pay more attention to it. But right now, it is feeling kind of like a stretch. Um,
Exactly.
yeah. I mean,
Like
maybe.
that's why I didn't like it after
Yeah.
I read all that. Like I'm just like,
I mean,
sure
don't
you
get me
just
wrong.
gotta
I
throw
do.
that on there just to add.
I mean, I don't get me
Like
wrong.
I
I do
love a
feel
good
like.
story. Like if you
Oh, yes. Yeah, I do feel like any story, of course, could be a metaphor for just about anything. I think there is truth to say in that, but I feel like if you are the story maker and you are purposefully writing something as a metaphor for something else, regardless of how anybody else might interpret it, if you're writing it with your intention as this metaphor for something, and then all the references seem to be like very kind of connect the dots type thing where you have to kind of take 3, 4, 5 different steps to get to this thing. Yeah, I'm not sure they thought that one out, to be honest. Like, I feel like maybe somebody probably decided that, like, after they wrote it, were like, what about this metaphor for toxic relationships? And they were like, all right, cool.
oh, that's cool.
You know what I mean? All right, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
ship it.
yeah, yeah. Sure, why not?
But yeah, that's why I ended up disliking Jibaro. I'm just
Mm.
like, why couldn't it just be a story of like a siren killing people and a Death Knight who was immune turned out to not be immune at the end, or
Yeah,
found a weakness?
I
Like
would
I
say
don't think that's
about
such a bad story to have.
yeah, about Jabaro, one thing I would say about it that it did feel to me like the most different of the of all the episodes, if that makes sense. Like, I mean, I guess for one thing, there's very little speaking throughout the episode. It's like something like 17 minutes long. I think it's one of the longer ones as well.
Right.
It's very stylistic in its approach, and the entire story, at least, yeah, pretty much like most, if not the entire story, is kind of told through actions rather than dialogue. So you're kind of watching as it unfolds, and trying to sort of piece together what their intentions are, or what they're trying to do, and so I do feel like that was a really cool way of telling the story, because like you effectively take the speech out and nothing's being really explained to you, so you just kind of watch the motions and get it from there. So that was pretty cool, I thought. But yeah, it's not sure about this whole relationship. Well, hey.
See, see. You can research it later on your own, and then
Mm.
you can find out. Was I wrong? Was I right? Do you agree with the people in charge? I'm just saying. It's not a bad thing to find someone's weakness, and then they still have like a way around it. Although you got to shed your blood and make them drink it. That's a little vampiric. Anyways, but yeah, the bar I think was really interesting because it didn't even have any robots in it, so it really focused on the love and death part. Definitely death. Yeah.
So with that, actually, so yeah, the show's called Love, Death, and Robots, and yeah, there's definitely a lot of episodes with robots. Definitely a lot of episodes with death.
Oh, that's an
um,
understatement.
but the love bit, I mean, I guess it was there, but it didn't seem to me as predominantly featured as the death and the robots. Like even with Jibaro, like I mean, it was more lust, if anything, than love. And there's definitely a lot of sex in there. Whether they loved
Yeah,
each
I
other
mean,
or not,
there's
who
that version
knows?
of love.
Like, um, so yeah, there's a bit of lust. There's definitely a lot of sex and sexual activity. But as far as like love goes, like I thought at least the only one that kind of comes to mind is the Ice Age episode where you had the two couples, which were which by the way, the only two live action people in the whole thing.
Right.
Where they had was it Mary Kate Winslet and
Right. Some
uh,
other dude.
I forget his name, but he was Topher Grace. That was Topher Grace. You know,
Okay.
they I assume loved each other because they were supposed to be a couple that moved into this new house or something. But I
Mhm.
feel like that to me was perhaps the only, or certainly one of very few examples of love throughout the entire series. Or what did you think? Did you feel there were more
I
examples of love
definitely think,
that I just completely missed?
yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what the heck? Aquila Rift, right?
Yeah,
So that spoiler, all you
yeah,
people,
yeah.
mega
We're in a spoiler
spoiler.
section. We're all good.
Okay,
we good.
okay. So the end part of the episode where they reveal past the illusion and it's that giant space spider thing, she's not eating them. And she was really empathetic because she tells the dude, she's all like, I do care for you. I do care for you, XYZ. And that's a different kind of love, It's not like, oh, I love
Mm.
you, let me love you for the rest of my life. But
Okay. Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
okay, so there's that one. There's the episode or the animated Chinese one where they go fast forward into like futuristic, where she's like a nine-tailed fox.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Dad
Yeah.
kills
Yeah.
her mother.
Oh yes. No.
There's
That was yeah.
different
I
versions of
forgot about
love
that
on
one. My
that.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah, because he ends up like taking care of her and then turning her into like the steel form of the nine-tailed fox. I think that's more like a brother sisterly love. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
There's the episode, I totally forget the name, but it's the one where they're farmers. I think it's Space War. They're farmers on a different planet, and then the little bugs climb on top. You know what I'm
Okay.
talking about?
Are they in the mech suits?
Yeah, it suits.
Right.
Is
Yeah. Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
yeah?
Suits. Yeah.
Okay, so it suits, and that's like love thy neighbor because they all take care of each other, and they're like, oh no, Bill's been hit, blah blah blah, life on the farm, but they're actually ex Space Marines, and they're like, tell Bill I love him, and so you have family love, and then you have neighborly love. So
Okay.
like, there's
Okay. No.
those.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah. No. That
Supernatural
makes.
had
Yeah.
that.
I'm getting that. So I guess I was looking for,
Mm,
or I had in my mind more the romantic
super
partner
princess
type
love.
love. Yeah. That. But yeah. Yeah. I guess like love isn't just
um,
one
I think the
thing.
last one. I think the last one was the shapeshifters one where they were like special unit forces
Yes.
and
Yeah.
the guys were just like attacking and then they actually shapeshifted into werewolves and stuff. Um, I would call that like the band of brothers kind of love, but uh, I can't really like think of any other that is just like love. I mean, there's the garbage one with his like monster dog, but it's like that
Mm.
stupid. I didn't really enjoy that one.
Yeah.
That one annoyed me.
That was all right. Yeah. But
Yeah.
no. Yeah. Yeah. No. No. I see it now. I see it now. I think
Yeah.
thinking
I'm
about
trying
it
to
in
think.
that way of different types
Mhm.
of love and different, yeah, and not just being one thing. Yeah, no, and that's fair. That's fair. I think there's, yeah, like you say, brotherly love or family love and love for fellow person, love, also
Oh,
mutual caring, and I guess that does
I
come up quite a bit. Sorry.
I totally can't believe I didn't think about this one. So remember the first episode of season 2 with the woman who gets the vacuum that ends up trying to destroy her?
Yes.
Okay, that's where you get your like love because she loves her neighbor and she ends up saving her neighbor and then they run away together.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The guy with the gun. Out of the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah,
It
right.
worked
I
out.
was so happy when I saw that. I was like, "Oh, look at this old silver fox getting the lady." because they weren't young. They were like old and like, eh. Anytime I see an old person, I'm just like, oh, what a sad little old person still making their way through life. Eh, the youngins. I'm like, that's gonna be me someday. So hopefully not. Don't want to die yet.
Well, yeah, he's still trying to live forever, so.
Exactly. If you guys missed it, check out the last podcast featuring me, and then you'll understand why. The cyberpunk episode. Anyway.
Yes, indeed.
So there's that.
Yeah, I guess with that one actually, in terms of like the older guy and the older guy and the lady, and how he kind of was looking over from time to time, and you kind of assume, I guess, that he's had a crush on her for a while and hasn't said anything, and I guess that's kind of this thing about fundamentally, I think we all, well, maybe not all, but most of us, want some kind of companionship. And even, we get into an older age where maybe a family don't visit so much no more, that kind of thing. And, you're over in your place, she's over in her place, and maybe you're both alone. So let's be alone together, and
yeah,
sort of like that. But yeah, like even as we get older, like, I guess we'd always want someone to share your life with, and to be a part of your journey, even if it is, it's the last 5 years before you kick the bucket. Like, it's just
I think it would be lonely to be alone for like 5 years and such. Like, if you're the last person on the planet and you can't have an intelligent conversation with someone, I think that would be kind of like heartbreaking. What are you gonna do? Bark at a dog? Like, no.
In fact, speaking of that, actually, there was the episode with was it Snow in the Desert, where you had the guy who was effectively immortal because his genes were like regenerative or something, and they had the other lady who was been along for a long time as well. She finds him, and even though she's been sent to like bring him back or something, she doesn't really want to do that because like she really needs companionship, and he's been alone a long time, so I guess that was that another kind of love as well, like that love of finding somebody who also is living potentially forever, that you can spend your life with, rather than spending the last 100 and whatever years by yourself with he talks about how his wife committed suicide because like she grew old and he didn't, and so he's just been himself all this time, and and
right.
then they kind of meet each other in the desert. So yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, quite a few examples of love, just not the type of love that I was thinking of.
Yeah, there's different ones. It's there.
So for myself then, in terms of standout episodes, I mean, I guess there's quite a few. But I think the one that probably, not even the one, I don't know, but one of the ones that stood out the most was Lucky 13, which I think is towards the end of the first season.
One! Oh, that's such a good one. Oh my god, how did I not think of that one? How she's got her ship and everyone else calls it cursed, but for her it's lucky number 13.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I liked that when it started and she was saying it was just a ship or it's just a machine, and the guy was like, oh, that's where you're wrong, it's not just a machine, none of them are just machines, it's about machines having personality. I feel like because I feel like all the episodes, like the episodes they have with the 3 robots,
oh yeah,
I have a kind of, I don't want to call it a theory, but I guess in some way, somehow, I feel like every episode is somehow linked to those bits. And I think in with this one, Lucky 13, the idea of a machine having personality, like maybe this is set. I mean, I guess they're all set before the 3 robots episodes because that's like after humanity's long gone. But I guess this is part of that kind of beginning stages of like machines becoming more sentient. And even towards the end of the episode where she sets the thing to blow up and it doesn't, and she's looking back at it, or Colby, the main character, looking back at saying she doesn't want to go, and she's waiting for that right moment and it explodes. So yeah, I liked that episode a lot, mainly because, like, not even mainly, but partly because it kind of reminds me of one of my favorite TV shows as well, called Space Above and Beyond. If you ever
Oh,
watched
I've
this,
never heard
was
of that show.
this was an awesome show. This was back in like 96, 97. It
Oh,
was on. It only ran for one season, but it was an awesome season. And they had an episode where they had a tank. This guy who had a tank, and he loved this tank, and it was an old tank that kind of barely worked, and so they'll try to turn it on, and it wouldn't start, and he'd be like, "Come on, baby, give me a little sugar, give me a little sugar," like rubbing it and kissing it, that kind of thing, and then she would start, and the tank would start. So like it was kind of like this thing about having this connection with the machine, or the machine not being more than just a machine, and perhaps having some kind of feelings of its own that it could sense how much the person inside cares about it. They don't really delve into it that deeply, but that's kind of what it implies. And I feel like Lucky
right.
13 is an episode that did something similar. Perhaps everybody else who flew that ship before didn't care about this ship, and perhaps because she was more open to this machine being more than just a machine, is why she was able to fly it, and it protected her and protected the crew that she flew with. And at the end, even though she didn't want to, she had to blow it up, and even then, it was like she did it at the right moment to make sure everybody is
Safe in a
safe.
way.
So yeah, I like the episode a lot. I like the episode a lot.
Yeah, that's a good one. Also, the animation on that is really good. Just like the designs of the machine itself and the people. Like, I really appreciate when people go into the more, well, I guess studios go into the more like physical, looks realistic as opposed to too cartoony. Like, if you're going cartoony, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that, especially because I love animated kind of things. But to have the renderings and polygons and pixels to like really have a fleshed out face, that's a really difficult task. Why? Because I've seen it. So I'm just like, that doesn't look easy, but good job. So I appreciate people's work if
Yeah,
they
no,
go the extra
indeed.
mile and make it look really realistic. Ew.
Yeah, yeah. The animation in that was excellent. I feel like, I guess the animation in all of them was superb, just in different ways. You
No,
know.
I have to
No.
disagree
Okay.
with that.
Okay. Okay. Well, which one sucks for you then?
Oh, absolutely the yogurt one. I hate that one. That one I
Yogurt.
hate
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
When the
God.
yogurt took over or something. Well, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. I hated that one. And then another one that I hated was God, what was it? What was it? It was the blue tile scrubber one. Do you
Oh,
remember?
Zima Blue.
No. Yeah, I liked the story of it, but the animation was just like to me. It wasn't my favorite. Like,
Yeah.
no.
It was. I guess it was. I mean, the kind of drawings of the robots, they were very kind of exaggeratedly disproportionate, that kind of thing. And but yeah, no, I like. Well, I liked. Yeah, I like the story of that episode. I like the idea that they all thought it was a man that turned himself into a robot. It turns out it was always a robot. It's just been evolved over, modded
Constantly.
over so many different years to the point where he became sentient and started to become an
Right.
artist.
Right. Isn't that crazy? I just thought like I just didn't really like that one. Like the animation itself. Was there another one? I'm trying to think if there was one. Mm, no, I think that was basically the only two that I really just they stand out and I'm just like, really, this is so boring. Like I didn't dislike the Ice Age one, even though it has live action actors. I'm like, okay, this fits the narrative. But I didn't dislike the animated parts, so that made sense. But yeah, I absolutely did not like the sentient yogurt episode. That was really annoying to me. I hated that. That was a wasted spot.
That yeah, I'm trying to remember. I mean, I got some notes. I'm trying to find what even happened in that one because it was like I guess it's probably one of the most forgettable ones. If to be fair, I remember seeing it. I remember it was something about the yogurt wanted Ohio, but they wouldn't give them Ohio, so they
Mhm.
took China
It
instead
was
or
like
something like that.
Cleveland or
Or
something. I don't know.
and in the end,
Yeah.
what the yogurts and the people become friends. I can't remember how it ended.
Yeah, the yogurt became so sentient and super smart, and they had humans build it a spaceship, and then they went and colonized a different planet.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, this is so stupid. Like, okay, so yogurt, a fermented cow sugary substance, is sentient, and then it gets us to do its bidding because we're pretty dumb, inadequate creatures apparently, and then it flies to space. I'm like, who's not to say that won't happen again, but meh.
Yeah, it was. I can't even find my notes on it. Like, is it that
If you
forgettable
take
that my
notes,
notes just
it's
decided to delete
on.
themselves or something?
No. It's on your second page, the start of it, and then it starts at the end of the first page.
Oh yeah, here we go. Cool, got it.
I
But yeah,
got
what a
you.
yogurt took over. Appreciate that.
I'm here
uh,
for you.
yeah, they test the bacillus used to ferment yogurt. Okay, yeah, and then yogurt was given power and authority. It took over. Will the yogurt go to space and leave us? Okay,
Yeah.
so I wrote would the yogurt go to space and leave us behind forever? I'm kind of blanking on what actually happened at the end of the episode. Were you saying they went to space? They actually did go to space.
Yeah. They
So they
had
left.
they had a spaceship and everything. They left.
Okay, and so they left the humans behind to
Yep.
to just fend for ourselves. Because I feel like I think I remember it was like they were doing all kinds of yogurty stuff, and then I think the humans got jealous or something. Or is that right? Am I completely misremembering?
If I'm correctly remembering it, I believe they were more like, "Oh, we're tired of like fixing your problems, fix it yourself," kind of thing.
Right. Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so like yeah, they went to space, and I guess humans have to figure out our own stuff. We don't have the yogurt to protect us no more.
Yeah. They're like, "Oh, we don't want to fix your stupid shit anymore. Get the
Yeah,
hell out of here."
but that's I
Like,
guess they could do
okay.
those tests on those. Was it test on the bacillus use of ferment? I guess they could do those tests again, and then maybe go better next time. Maybe just tweak the test a little bit, and that way the yogurt becomes more obedient.
Can we just eat yogurt normally and call it a day? Frozen yogurt will be always destroyed at this point.
All
Stop
right.
messing with yogurt.
What's your favorite yogurt flavor?
Oh, I like the plain like flavor, and then after that would be key lime, and then strawberry.
Yeah, strawberry. I feel like you can't go wrong with strawberry. Just about anything you put strawberries in it, it's a good time. I like I like strawberry yogurt, of course. I like vanilla, banana. I guess like those ones. But if I had to pick a favorite, I'd probably go with strawberry. But I like when you have like those yogurts. I think it's the Muller ones where you have like the yogurt, and then you've got like the cup on the side that has like the like bits. So you can have like vanilla chocolate
Vanilla.
balls or something, and or just some kind of like I think is it vanilla chocolate? I can't remember, but because I haven't had it for a long time. But
Okay.
they have like these little things on the side, little chocolate balls or whatever it may be, and then you tip it over into the yogurt, you kind of mix it up, and
I
then
love those.
those are really
Yes,
good.
I know
Those are really
exactly
good.
what you're talking about. I've been kind of doing that this past week. I have like this little like milk carton of yogurt. I pour it in a bowl, and then I have like muesli or like a granola mix that I put in, and then I put in rainbow sprinkles, like ice cream topping sprinkles. And yeah, it's a party,
Yeah.
I can put in strawberries from my garden too, so it's really good. But I like the standard, just like regular yogurt flavor. Like if you go to frozen yogurt and they have original, that's the flavor. It's just good. I like it plain sometimes, but key lime and strawberry are seconds.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yogurt's good. Yogurt's good. I
Not the
don't.
fermented one on
Yeah.
Love, Death, and Robots.
except for when they try to take over and leave us behind and don't help us
I
out no
mean,
more.
if you want to solve our problems, yeah, but no one's going to listen to you. You think anyone likes to listen sometimes? Well, listen to this podcast, but listen to yogurt. It's hard enough for people to listen to women. Anyways,
topic for another
Next
day,
topic.
or I don't know, maybe topic for today. We'll see.
We'll get
Um,
there.
I
This
mean,
is a long list.
actually,
Ye-
people not listening to women, that kind of does come up in Love, Death, and Robots in
Oh
the
yeah.
Hunted episode, the one with the foxes and the
Mhm.
is it the shape shifting foxes thing, because there's the whole bit towards the end of the episode where after the guy's father passes away, and it's like him, he's older now, and her, and he's kind of looking after this lady while she can't become a true form, but she's getting taken advantage of by all these guys, and ends
Mhm.
up prostituting. And a lot of people just like taking advantage of her until that guy who thought she was a who she thought was a good client, turns out he was maybe the biggest creep of them all. Um,
Yeah.
and so yeah, that was an interesting episode, because like that definitely kind of directly addressed the whole thing about mistreating people, women specifically, and um, sex work, and how easy it is for people in that line of work to be misused. Misused. That's a terrible way of putting it.
I was
Mistreated.
about to say, like, I don't even want to say gaslit, but
Yeah.
more of like manipulated,
Yeah.
or predatoring or
Um,
prey. Yeah.
so yeah, that was an interesting episode, and of course the way it starts as well. The way it starts is almost completely different to the way it ends, because it kind of starts off with these guys who are just like looking for to collect money from beheading these creatures, because it was like I think they believe that they turn men impotent or something. Um, Wait, was that right?
What?
That they believe that she made somebody impotent. Is that what they were hunting them down?
You're talking about Good Hunting, right? The Chinese animation one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. In the beginning, they
No.
were hunting them down because they were paid to hunt them down, right? But it was because
So
they was
okay,
it
so
something?
this is I remember this one because this one I like a lot, but it's not my
Okay,
fave. So what happens is, like, the women, they like the nine-tailed fox women, they go to the men because they're lonely and they're crying at night. So they go to them to soothe them, but those men, because they're so lonely, fall in love with them. So the villagers think they're casting spells on them, so they go hunt these girls.
right, okay,
That's the problem. But so they kill the mommy, and then the little nine-tailed fox girl still lives, and like the kid doesn't have like the heart to kill her or tell his dad, because
yeah,
he's like, but it's not her fault, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, well, let's just let her live. And then what happens is that she's like, oh, like all the magic's starting to go away, all the old magic is going away, so I have to do like what I have to do to survive, and that's like sex work. And then she gets too high up the ladder, and then she gets modified, like, you know without consent, and it's like scary, because he's like, oh yeah, the more metal the better, it's like so sexy, and she's like losing her legs, arms, until I really hated that part, actually. Not because yes, because she's getting all her limbs cut off, but at a certain point it just shows like bare flesh, like lady hoo-ha, and then the rest of her is like mechanical, and I'm like, this don't make no sense. Like, how can you have like a whole body, except I think at a certain point even her breasts were mechanical,
yeah.
and then you have like a flesh pussy, like, sorry, but like
Oh, so
it was just
yeah,
like so weird. It was just so weird to me. I was like, you're gonna show me like flesh hoo-ha, and then mechanical boobies, like your arms are like I don't get it, because at this point the only things that are flesh is your head and then your pussy, right? Is this what you're telling me? Because this is a really bad version of the story. And then she can transform into the fox later, and it's like, okay, I know this is a fictional story, but I'm just trying to wrap my head around this, because you showed me I'm thinking about it too much. You
not
showed
thinking about
me
it
this.
enough. Come on, let's keep going, keep going. Keep going.
But
We need to get into some
that's
details
what
here.
kind of happened. I mean, it's like right there. They're like, here's the love part, like in your face. I pay attention to these things, because what if I like the character and I want to cosplay them? And it's like, oh, okay. Well, that's awkward.
Yeah. Yeah,
Anyways,
that's over 18 shows only, I guess.
Oh yeah.
um, but yeah,
Actually,
that
hold on. Let's see. Yeah, because I'm looking here on just Google search images of Good Hunting, and it shows her like sitting on top of the dude. Her entire body, except her face and her hoo-ha, is metal now.
yeah.
So even her boobies. So I'm just like, okay, it don't make no sense.
I mean, because they did say that he could only get hard for metal, or he could only get hard for machines or something like that.
Right.
But I guess if you're going to, go inside, I mean, you probably don't want to get scratched. I'm guessing. So you have to keep that bit flesh. Right?
I mean, I'm not a scientist, but I'm pretty sure if you know how to work metal, you can work on some kind of silicone thing to be metal, and then you could still bang metal.
Yeah. You
I
need
don't know.
a
Maybe they
lot of
actually
oil, I
had
guess.
it. Maybe it was metal. I don't know. But they showed me some flesh part, and I'm just, we're going deep diving in this whole love part of the episode. But
Yeah.
it's just a little awkward.
I guess you'd have to use like a lot of WD-40, just to.
Yeah.
Shh.
I mean, even like part of her face had like bits, So it's like we don't really know like how much of her was actually human at that point, or what was still flesh and bone. If that's even possible, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it was, because they sold her like they're cutting off her legs and that kind of thing, and
Okay.
so yeah, I guess that did somewhat, because she was able to transform into the fox after being converted into metal, and
Right.
that kind of confused me a little bit. Like, if she wasn't able to transform before because of like the whole thing that happened in the past, how come the metal version of her is able to transform? Like, did they build her into a transformer
Yeah.
version?
So no, that's the part with the good guy. So the kid that saved her in the past, and she went back to him every once in a while
Yeah.
just to check up on him. He actually helps her be able to transform into the new version of her, which is the metal version. So he works on her body,
Oh,
so she can
right.
transform. I
Okay, yeah,
remember.
yeah. No, yeah. I mean, because he became like some mechanic something, didn't he? Or
Right.
yeah. Cool.
And I
Yeah.
thought it was cool because it looked like he was like working on her, but it was her at the same time. I thought that was like a really like unique scene, but it was also like really unfortunate. I was like, oh, you said like this pretty chick, and then damn, I would have killed that guy. Like, oh my god, my legs are gone, but you like stayed with him until you makes me mad. Like, you're a mystical creature chick, and then I don't like that one.
But yeah,
Like, I think the story is cool, but still don't like that one.
yeah, that episode. I mean, it ends with her becoming like, I guess, this superhero type, avenging angel type person. Killing dudes that are about to do bad things. So with that one, I suppose the whole thing is like taking her pain and misfortune, and using that as motivation to make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else. But in terms of like, well, Liang, actually, yeah, I did write his name down. Liang was the name of the son. And the love that I guess he has for her and she has for him. I mean, it kind of felt in the beginning that was more maybe a more romantic love, and maybe it was in the beginning, but I guess by the time it gets to the end, it is more of a friendship kind of love, like a caring, kind of love. This is somebody who I've known for a long time, and regardless of us, so to speak, it's you want to do what you can to help them,
Right.
and perhaps that's I don't know. I guess there's a metaphor in there, is that he's perhaps the only one that wasn't trying to take advantage of her in any way,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a trust, of course, within that, because every other guy was just a dirty scumbag, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. It's so painful. just like, oh yeah, by the way, yeah, you got to seduce men now to make a living. And now it's like, okay, and then you just happen to get this one that's like the super baddie. Like, oh, that's unfortunate. But there's also a lot of other unfortunate episodes. There really is.
There, indeed. In fact, yeah. Actually, with unfortunate episodes, so what do you think was the saddest episode? Because I've one in mind. I want to see if that matches what you're thinking. But what do you think was the saddest episode out of all of them?
Let's see. Saddest. Let me think. I would have to say no, that's not sad. I was gonna say the one where the guys like the military guy one where they needed the robots to help take down the robots, but they all get annihilated. That's a pretty sad episode to me. That's in season 3. What's that called? Kill Team Kill.
Okay, yeah.
That one really hurt me because
oh yeah, with the grizzly bear,
right,
robot bear, yeah.
Because they had a really cute little robot with them, and I was just like, oh, look at him help out, he's doing his little best. And like the whole band of brothers kind of thing, I love that. And that also plays with the shapeshifter episode. I think that's also season 2. Is that season 2? I don't remember. I think it's season 2 where it's the guys shapeshift. Nope, I guess it's season 1.
Oh, not the werewolf one, you mean?
Yeah. Okay, so that is season 1. So that's shapeshifters.
Yeah, shapeshifters.
Those 2 are the saddest ones in my opinion. Anything that has to do with people like really working and then they form a camaraderie and they die because of their job, it like that hurts me a lot. So that makes me really sad because like they're living. And then the last one, what was it called? God, I keep on forgetting these names. Where are you? What is your name? What is your Kill Team Kill? Sorry. So Kill Team Kill made me really sad. I don't like it when cute little robots have to die. Like the animation was cool, but cute little robots. Like, can you imagine R2-D2 dying? Like, is that a fun thing? No.
I mean, he's kind of annoying, really.
Okay, would you like BB-8 to die? You want BB-8 to die? Is that what you're saying?
He's way more annoying. Yeah, no.
Okay, so you just like robots dying because you don't like robots. I love robots.
I had to choose between R2 and BB-8 dying, I'll go with BB-8. BB-8 can go. Actually, to be fair, R2's not that annoying. He's maybe only just not really. I guess he's.
So where does? Okay, let me ask it. Where does C3PO stand for you?
I like C3PO. You know why?
Oh my god!
Here's the thing, because C3PO is purposefully annoying. that's the difference. He's purposefully annoying,
he's and not that even makes him cute.
And that makes him funny. Like he was literally one of the best things in like the Disney Star Wars movies, like because like he was so purposeful. Oh shit, my nose is.
He was in the original trilogy before they became Disney.
Yeah, I know, and he was cool in that too. But with the Disney ones, like those movies were bad, like, and he was just like one of the best things there. So like for me, yeah, I like C3PO. Like the one thing about the Disney Star Wars movies that they actually got right was C3PO. That they made him cool. They made him cool.
But still, no. I just don't like the idea of little R2-D2 getting hurt. All he does is do his job, hack shit, fire shit, hack shit, show off like programs and be all like, here's the hologram message, fuck off now, bye. Okay, where's my battery? I gotta charge myself. Like, he's actually useful. And then you have C3PO be all like, oh, master, I have to translate this for you. It's like, I know, do it already.
Yeah,
I don't want to have to tell you the command to do it. Like, at least R2 is like very independent. It's like, well, I guess I'll turn on this elevator.
Nah, they're too disrespectful to C-3PO, I reckon. Like, C-3PO is probably like the smartest one there, and they don't give
I
him the
know.
respect he deserves. They really
He knew
don't.
a lot of languages. That's all I knew.
And he didn't want to translate the Sith one. He was like, "Nah, I ain't gonna do that for you." I was like, "Nah."
Did he say that? Did he have that?
Yeah, that was episode 9 where
Oh, the last one.
yeah, he had to translate the Sith language, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I know it, but I'm not gonna translate it. My circuitry forbids me from translating this."
I really don't remember that happening, but episode 9 was like not the
Yeah, no,
best.
I mean, no, the Disney ones do kind of suck. Yeah, but I
They
watched.
had it going. Like the first one that they had, sorry, sidetrack. The first one that they had introducing Finn, Ray, and everyone. Like that was sold. But then they just went off the balls on the rail and fucked everything up. Like,
Yeah,
come on, a black stormtrooper turning into a Jedi. Like I what happened? Lead my resistance, please.
Yeah, what's the second one? The episode 8. That was
The
just
one
a
where they're
piss
just
take.
slowly drifting to the left, going through an entire casino.
Yeah, that was just the whole movie was just such a like waste of time. Like it had like maybe a couple of moments of cool action, I guess, but overall it was just it was like 99% a waste of time. Like what were they thinking? And then
I
by the
don't know
time
if it was even 90. Like it was at least a good 100% of the time wasted because that could have been like a segment like this much and then a real story because it's like, oh, we're gonna run out of gas. Okay, well, can you find a place to land? Like, can you go somewhere with the story? Whoever wrote this did a really bad job because
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, I could write a better story, including an Asian character falling in love with someone else in the story, and then furthering advancing what's happening. And like, who was it? Mark Hamill, right? Like Luke
Yeah.
Skywalker. He said it the best. He's like, take everything that you worked for and just threw it in the garbage because that's what they did. And that's what they did. He said it so perfectly. And it just hurt my feelings so much. I'm just like, I don't know if I need to go back to fanfics or something to fix this, but the bad taste that's in my mouth is here. And I think like a lot of people were just scared. Like the writers of the movie were scared because they didn't want the fan theorists to be right that Rey was actually like an illegitimate daughter of Luke Skywalker kind of thing, or like Leia. And I'm like, I don't have a problem with any of that. But then they're like, she's a Palpatine.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, ew, that's really gross. Why would you do that? Imagery.
Yep, she was
This force choked me. It's okay. I'll take it.
Apparently she was nothing. She came from nothing. Your family was nothing. They died in a pauper's grave because they were nothing. And then you get to the last one. It's yeah, you're the daughter of Palpatine, by the way. And it's like, all right. You can tell they're just like pulling ideas out their asses at this point. Just like, yo, come on.
Let's just have every character that's important on a dartboard and throw it. Throw a dart, and then they ended up on Palpatine because they couldn't go with Leia anymore. They couldn't go with Han Solo. It wouldn't make sense. And then for me, the last kind of okay part was that she got to kiss Ben at the end, and I was like, ah!
You like that?
Girly feelings. Hey,
thing,
no. Let me have my girly feelings validated.
Okay.
That's all I want.
All right. I'll let you have that, and then I'm gonna destroy it.
I don't care.
I mean,
you know why? Because it was so bad. They need to retcon all of that shit. Actually, no. They only need to retcon the last 2. But
all right, because we're talking a moment ago about metaphors for toxic relationships, right? So Ben Solo spent the last couple of movies like trying to kill this woman, torture her, fighting her, mind manipulation. The man was on a warpath, and then gets an episode. The last episode is like, oh yeah, let's kiss. Like, what?
Have you not seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
I have.
It happened.
It's
a trope,
and
I don't mind revisiting it.
Buffy was
it's
probably
a good
worse.
Trope and I enjoy it. Oh, it's such a bad trope. I shouldn't re-enjoy it.
Buffy was worse.
It's nice to see a bad guy feel like I'm a good guy now. Can you get with me?
I mean, the whole good girls bad guys. Okay, I kind of get it. It's exciting. I get it. But it's gotta be limits to this thing because, like in Buffy, they had that episode where Spike tried to rape Buffy, and then right afterwards she goes to his crypt and says, "Can you try to get him to babysit his little sister?" I'm like, "Wait, are you mad? Like, are you mad?
Are you daft? Is there a draft in your brain?"
And the only reason it didn't happen because like Spike wasn't in his crypt at that time, but it's like this guy just tried to rape you. And you thought, I don't know, let me get him to look after my little sister, or like it's like, wait, what? Are you mad?
Like, okay. Like tiny little thing here is like like they kind of had this thing like banter going because they had this connection weirdly. Like no one else ever in the Star Wars universe that I've seen had this like, oh, I can talk to you using the Force through my brain, woo, and I can project myself. And then all of a sudden it's like, can you put a cloak on? I can't focus. I was like, oh, girl. what a statement.
I mean, she could just close her eyes.
An internet trend. Huh?
They just close her eyes.
No, she can.
Oh, wait a minute. It's like, well, actually, here's the thing about that bit, because like if they're connecting through the mind, then because remember when they connected, right? He had his back to the camera, and then he turns around, and then she says, you know, can you put a shirt on? But if they're connected through the mind, then shouldn't she already see the front of him anyway?
That's probably why she's having a hard time.
Yeah. Like,
she's already like, oh shit, he's jacked.
She should have seen the front of him before he turned around. So those movies don't make no damn sense.
I'm just saying. But they tried to develop a romance of bad guy with good girl, and like, you know, he did. Yeah. And then you know what's worse? You know what's worse about that? At the very end, at the end of like the whole like nine trilogy shit, new Disney shit is finished. They're like, oh yeah, it wasn't a romantic kiss. I'm like, bitch, yeah, it was. You can't tell me it's not, because this guy is chasing her, carrying her like a princess onto a ship, chaining her down and shit, and then trying to force manipulate shit. No, that's a romantic kiss. Shut up.
Yeah, that's clear. I mean, was that like an interview or something, or?
I believe it was an internet article that I read. It wasn't, I don't know, but it was an internet article I read where someone's like, oh yeah, no, it's not a romantic. No, I'm like, bitch, you can't. That's romantic, okay? In my head, yeah, that like,
come on,
Kylo Ren and Rey, like Benlo, whatever the mashup name, it happened.
Yeah, I mean, Rey clearly likes, you know, I mean, her parents abandoned her, so it's not a surprise that she's attracted to toxic guys. I mean, you know, her granddaddy was Palpatine, like
raising her properly, right. You know.
Yeah, she was raised by that slave owner. You know, like, was it Unkar? You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. Like she's attracted to bad guys. You know.
He's a strong bad guy. You know, I would have totally welcomed if she like became like the Empress of like the Sith. You know, I totally would have welcomed it. It looked cool. You know, if we had like a whole flip-flop situation and then Finn comes out and be like, I gotta decapitate everyone now because I'm a good guy.
She might still become an Empress of the Sith, rather. Because like, remember Emperor Palpatine was like, strike me down and take my place, you know, all that kind of stuff, right? And she was like, no, I'm not gonna be able to. But then she does kill him in the end. So she does strike him down, which means he should have flowed, his spirit should have flowed into her, whatever. So yeah,
she should have absorbed his Sith powers and stuff. But and at the end, she's all like, "I'm Rey Skywalker." And I'm like, no, it should have been Solo, because if you really liked Ben, then you know, it's like, you know, like you're married. So
yeah, being Rey Skywalker means that she sort of kissed a adoptive cousin.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like that would mean that she has to be a descendant of Luke. That means she kissed her first cousin.
Yeah, that's the thing in Star Wars. They'd be like kissing their families like that. That's you know, Luke made out with Leia back in the day. It's a thing.
Woo! That's his sister, though. That's right there. They're twins. Yeah. You didn't know that they were twins.
Yeah, no. Wait. At the time, we didn't know they were twins. Well, at the time, we didn't even know they were related. But yeah, they are. Yeah, we found out later that they're not only are they related, not only are they brother and sister, they're twin brother and sister. Which kind of means he kissed himself, really. I guess. Technically.
No, not entirely.
If they're
twins.
Because
some twins don't have this exact same genetic DNA. If they're identical twins, yeah, they do. But because they aren't,
he kind of kissed the girl version of himself, pretty much.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
So Love, Death, and Robots.
Yeah,
See any
Love, Death, and
hinting on that
Robots.
show?
Yeah, got a little sidetrack there, but it's all good. It's all good.
My bad. I have no clue
Nah,
how we got
it's all good. I don't mind. I don't mind at all.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Um,
Saddest episode is when
Saddest episode, yes,
little
yeah.
robots died, and you don't like you like C-3PO versus R2-D2. No. So what you're saying is you would rather keep the super grizzly bear alive and let everyone else die. Got it.
Oh no, that bear definitely had to go. That bear was definitely out of control in that episode. He was mad. He was angry. I don't know, I probably malfunctioning or something or whatever. But yeah, he that bear had to go. I liked when he killed him at the end. He started, that guy got all mad. He was like, oh, and he started beating him with on the top of the head. He starts punching it 'cause he's all pissed off. That was pretty cool. I like that. That's very kind of like, 80s. I don't know, like Schwarzenegger movie type thing.
Yeah, like kind of thing.
Like you know what I mean, stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. For me, I'll say the saddest episode for me was Pop Squad, which is the episode where they all live forever, but because they can't keep letting people in because resources and I guess or whatever. They don't really explain exactly why, but I'm guessing some to the resources. But they can't keep letting people in. They kill off the babies, and so you have like these people who have these babies that are unregistered and they're raising them in secret, and the Pop Squad have to go around, find them, and then kill the children. And that was that was a really sad episode because when the guy he starts to question if he's doing the right thing, and he's really kind of struggling with himself, and then he goes to see that family or that lady with the baby, and he doesn't kill her, even though he probably in his mind he could have, or he's supposed to. It's his job, blah blah blah, but he doesn't. He's kind of walking out, and he sees his partner. And you hear the baby crying in the background, and then the partner immediately knows what's going on because, of course, he's kind of been off his game lately anyway. And then it's just like guns out as she shoots him and kind of die. Well, he does does die. But yeah, that for me was the saddest episode. This idea of you can live forever, but there's a cost to it.
It makes sense though, because like if we live forever, again, watch our cyberpunk episode discussion. It makes sense because we don't have enough space on this planet, and I don't think on that specific episode they've gone outside of Earth, quote unquote. So there's only so much limited space, capacity, food to maintain, and then for the people that are living forever, I think they had to give up their reproductive something something like that. Because she's like
babies,
she's like, oh yeah, I just got my like next dose, like let's go ahead and do it, XYZ, because it gets me horny. And it's like they don't have any repercussions of it, and it's like, oh yeah, she's okay, good. But it was really heartbreaking to know. Like, I think if I watched it now, it would probably be like the number one saddest as a mother now. Back when I watched it, I wasn't a mom. But now that I am, I'm like, oh yeah, I totally agree. That's got to be heartbreaking because I love my little guy.
Yeah, she had that quote. She said, that line. She says, "Not having kids is a small price to pay to live forever." Right before she gets the boost, but like you'll see, like in his face. And what I like about this, another thing I like about this episode as well is like kind of the animation and how much emotion you see in their faces. Like when he's talking about, if you just have like, I'll let you impregnate me if we didn't live forever or something, and the way his face kind of changed, like that's what he wants. That's kind of what he really wants, like deep down. But she's kind of laughing it off. Ha, don't be so serious. Ha, look at your face. Ha. Because for her it's just a joke, but for him it's like actually,
like I wouldn't mind having mini human.
Yeah.
It's crazy. My mini human's about to have 2 more teeth simultaneously. So like he went from having no teeth, and then like at the beginning of July, bam, 2 teeth. And now like almost here at the middle of July, he's about to have 2 more teeth. Usually these things come in one at a time. No, it's like blink, and now it's gonna be all like blink. So yeah.
It's gotta be close to a year now, right? Because it's August, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And next month, so August, he'll be 1 year.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
A whole
I'm
year.
still looking like this, and I'm a mom. Looking good.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's
Five more years. 5 more years. We'll see.
I guess I better get Botox. No, I don't need that. No, it's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, speaking of that, you mentioned on the sub episode about you living forever. I'm guessing you wouldn't live forever if that was the price you had to pay though, or
I probably would have taken living forever.
okay,
Because I wake up at times and I'm like, wow, stretch marks, this is not fun. But then I look at him and I'm like, it's worth it. But then there are some days where I'm just like, dang, I really miss being able to just enjoy myself, playing games, working on my own content, or doing things that I want to do.
yeah.
I can't really do that because my life is dedicated, and I like being dedicated to my son, but I do miss my freedom, quote unquote, or being able to take things and not just him. He means the world to me, but living forever, having a kid, Well, I would rather have living forever, but I'll take care of someone else's kid because there's no rule saying I can't do that. Yeah, that was a hard day. You try pushing a watermelon out of your butt, okay? It's not a butt. You don't have a vagina, but if you had a vagina, I'd say try pushing out a watermelon. That shit ain't easy. I did it, but I don't recommend it for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd rather not push a watermelon out of my backside. Actually, I think I don't need to know what that feels like. I know some people say, "Oh, you never know until you try it." It's like I don't think I need to try that. I don't think I need to push a watermelon out of my anus. That
No.
sounds like a terrible idea. So
No.
yeah.
I mean, it's not all at once, but it's like a smaller one. So you have to have this big come out at once, and then it just stops, and then you have to push out the shoulders, and then after the shoulders are out, you're pretty good because then they can just be like, whoa. They just lift out the baby, and then they throw the baby on you, and you're like, whoa. It was really like that because I remember giving a legit push. No, okay, really quick. I'll just run it step by step really quickly. So what happens is,
good.
What happens was they're like, okay, now push. And I'm like, okay. And then all of a sudden the head popped out, and I was like, what is that? I screamed that twice. I'm like, what is that? What is that? So I have this little head diggling out between my legs. That's the word. I hate that sensation. It's so weird. Oh my god. And then all of a sudden she's like, okay, now get ready to push again so we can get the shoulders out. I'm like, oh, okay. And right at that point, I'm just like, I just don't want this between my legs. Get it out. And then I push, and then next thing I know, she just has. Hold on, let me see. Do I have a stuffed animal? I have a stuffed animal for this. Let's use you, Ehon, the Hello Kitty. So she comes, and then all of a sudden, I'm sitting here. No, I'm not sitting. I was laying down. I was laying there, and I was like, not like that. It didn't sound like that. It was a lot worse. And then all of a sudden, she's just midwife just goes, here you go. And then all of a sudden, I'm just like, oh, human. And my little baby was just no eye opening. It was the craziest thing ever. I was like, oh my god, I made this. Ah! And then she's like, I had to give the baby an injection. So then she takes an injection and she just stabs it into his leg, and then he just lets out the first cry ever. It's like, oh, my son got injected. It's a moment.
Wow. Wow. No, that sounds incredible. That sounds incredible.
If I don't have to have kids, I think I would have taken that for immortality.
Yeah.
It was a moment because they just here's your baby. And I was like, ah. It was a moment.
Well, congratulations on getting through that moment, because
Thanks.
that sounds incredible.
I can't wait for the second one. Woohoo!
Baby number 2.
Thank Thank you for being a willing participant, Hello Kitty E Honda.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool actually.
Thanks.
But
I have a huge collection of Hello Kitties. I shouldn't say it's huge because some people have more than me, but
well,
I
you know,
have
relative.
Sonic, Hello Kitty. I have, hold on. Are they all here? No, they're not all here, but I have like almost all the entire cast of Street Fighter in Hello Kitty.
We've got,
No,
what, is that Ken?
It makes sense. I do have Ken here, I think.
Ryu.
I
mean, if you've got Ken and Ryu, then I feel that's all you
I have
need,
a mini
really.
Ken.
Or Ken,
Yeah,
Ryu, and
Ken.
then Bison.
I don't. Yeah, they're probably still inside the house because I haven't finished moving everything here.
All right, cool.
But yeah, here's Ken. Here's Ken. And then I have Akuma Batsmaru. The rest of them are still inside the house. So, ta-da! Here's Christine. Batsmaru. Wow. Akuma. Oh.
Akuma. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Akuma looks weird. Akuma looks weird.
Would you? Okay, so the question to you is: would you take immortality over having no kids, or would you have kids?
So would I, if I had to live forever, but I can't have kids, or I can have kids, but I won't live forever?
Exactly.
I mean, here's the thing. I guess. I mean, because I'm not. I've like I was saying before, like I don't think I wanted it forever. Like that being said, I'm not entirely sure I want kids either. So you know, like I feel like, can I not live forever, but then not be forced to have kids? Like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm there. I feel like I'm there. Like if I had to choose, like if it was like you have to have kids, but you can't live forever, or you can't have kids ever, and yeah, if it's one of those things you just have to have like both. I don't know, like that's
one or the
other. I mean, I guess I'll go with having kids and not live forever. That way, if it turns out I'm a rotten dad, I'm gonna die soon anyway. So you know.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
If it turns out I'm not good at raising kids.
Those people who are parents,
I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna be alive forever. You know, yeah, fine. Let's be fine.
Okay.
Just gonna stick up with another 20 years, 30 years. I'm just fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I go with. I don't know. I mean, living forever though, it's like I feel like it could be a cool thing, but forever, like you know what I mean, like forever. Like if it was maybe just not like maybe if you could be immortal, but choose when you go. That could be pretty cool.
Kind of like Lord of the Rings, when it's just like, okay, it's my time. I'm going to take the ferry. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch Lord of the Rings. It kind of bored me. But
what?
Yeah.
You didn't watch Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings was boring. I'm like, man. Okay. But yeah, something like that. Where you could be like, you know what? I think I've done what I needed to do. I'm gonna go. That could be pretty cool.
That reference just went phew.
I watched the first Lord of the Rings movie actually, and actually the first one weren't too bad. It was after that it just got boring for me. It just got hella boring. I was so bored.
Okay, I see. Okay.
Actually, speaking of boring, I guess you kind of answered this already though. But what for you was the worst episode?
Yogurt.
You mentioned the yogurt one earlier. That's definitely for you the worst. Like nothing else was worse than that. That was for you.
Nothing else was worse than that. The animation, the storyline, that was pretty shit-tacular. Like, I can't think of any other ones that were just like that awful. Like that is the pinnacle of the worst ever. I'm just like trying to think, was there anything else? And I was like, season 3 was pretty short. And I don't think there was anything in there that was like awful. That would constitute it as being the worst. Season 2, I would definitely say the drowned giant. That one was pretty
Oh
stupid.
yeah, that was
They
just
didn't
boring.
really have any.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
kind of
that was
pointless.
boring. It had great animation, but that was kind of stupid. Like, you know what I mean? It didn't really
Yeah,
have robots. It didn't have any love in it. I didn't understand. But it had death,
yeah,
and I
big
don't
old death.
really that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me the
Yeah,
yogurt
those two
episode.
were definitely.
Yeah, I think on the agree with the yogurt episode being a boring, one of the boring ones. I think between that and the one about was it the Hitler one about the was it alternate timelines or something, or alternate versions of if Hitler died this way or if Hitler died that way, and that one didn't really do it for me. I like the idea of multiple universes and how different one change to one event could affect how things could. I like that as a general idea, but yeah, that episode in particular just wasn't really doing it for me. And by the time it ended, it was
Right.
like it just felt like this was just pointless. Like,
Right.
oh, if Hitler died
Hypothetical
this way,
questions
if
like
Hitler
that.
died that way, if
What?
Hitler died this way, if Hitler died that
That's
way, and
fine.
this happened, and then he met these women, and then he died that way, and it's like, okay,
No.
whatever. No, I don't care anymore. I
I
stopped
mean, that
caring.
it wasn't. It's all right.
Mm,
Like hypothetical ones is okay. Like I don't have a problem with that, but it didn't happen. So it's just like, but it could have. And
mm,
that's why they have Marvel's What If. And it's like, okay, well, it didn't happen. So
yeah, well,
it's
yeah.
it's just nice to speculate. I think it's an ace like entertaining idea, but it's not like the best idea or the worst idea.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, alternate history is what's I think it was referred to alternate histories. But yeah, alternate histories are alternate, pathways. I think yeah, it could definitely be a cool mind exercise. Like what happened? How is the world if this thing happened instead of that thing? I think that could be a really good mind exercise in terms of thinking about how things, even small things, could affect lots of other things going forward, and you don't necessarily realize what might be a seemingly insignificant thing at the time could end up connecting to so many massive things later on. So I think it could be a very good mind exercise, just in general. But yeah, not that episode.
Yeah, I think you could really just keep going down the rabbit hole on that. That could just get
You're
really
right, right.
dangerous.
Mm.
So then you don't know when to stop. Conspiracy theory.
Yeah, and there's also the episodes. There's a couple of episodes like the one about the life hatch, and the one about the hands, where she takes the thing off her hand in space and breaks her own arm off. I mean, I wouldn't say those
Oh,
episodes were
oh
boring, but they did feel a little bit pointless.
no, I didn't feel like that was pointless. No,
Okay, okay, perhaps I
the
missed
one where
something
she
then.
had to rip her hand off.
Yeah,
I feel like if I was that person in space, I would have to do that too.
mm,
Like that's to show you the bleakness and hopelessness that you have in space if you fuck up.
yeah,
So do you sacrifice part of yourself to live, or do you just give up and die? You know.
yeah. No, I
So
guess I get that, but at the end of it, it's like she was rage and went into her team, and they were. I think they said something like, "Do you need help, or do you still need assistance or something?" And she was like, "Oh no, I'm good." It was like, "Yeah, you do need help. Like,
yeah, you lost
you
an arm, bitch.
yeah, you should let them come in and help you out. Like, there's no shame in asking for help. So yeah, that's. I mean, I get like, of course, in space things can go wrong. Also, like maybe like hook yourself to this craft next time. I don't know. Like, I'm no expert, but hook yourself on your own, and
Better,
maybe
I don't know,
don't
twice.
go out. Free was it free handed or whatever they call it, just like maybe you hook yourself to the thing. Like, that's how they do with ships, they hook
Yeah,
themselves to the ship. It's like, I don't know, that seems like a good
that
idea to me.
seems
Like, I
really
don't know why you didn't.
helpful.
I don't know why a professional astronaut didn't think of hooking themselves to, but anyway. Anyway,
I do think there was another one that was kind of pointless. Was the Do you remember the Mars one when she's like, "Oh yeah, we had a bad landing," and then she's dragging her dead
yeah, 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 yeah,
co-pilot? That one was a shitty episode. Like it was pretty, but at the same time, I think that was not the best storytelling. Of like, oh yeah, join the planet, jump in this like vat of acid kind of thing. I think that one was kind
yeah.
of like,
He starts hallucinating or something because actually takes some oxygen drug or combination of things, and it was like,
mhm.
warning, this can cause something or other, and she starts hallucinating and she doesn't know whether it's real or whether it's her own thoughts or whether it was like that dead girl talking to her or something, and it's like, okay, yeah. I mean, like I said, it was cool animation and kind of a cool trippy episode. But by the time you get to the end of it, it was like, okay, what did we learn? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But I think that's kind of fair to say about a lot of episodes is that you
Hmm.
know, and I guess that's partly because they're so short for the most part. They're like less than 15. I think the longest is like 20 something minutes. You
I
know,
think so.
so there's only so much you can do in such a short amount of time, and I guess sometimes a point they're trying to make doesn't always come through that well.
Right.
And whether that's us just not getting it, or whether that's just bad storytelling. I guess it could be a
Or the
combination of
ideas not
things.
fleshed out.
Yeah, or it's just not very, yeah, or not very well thought out. I mean, what do you think the main issue is when it comes to those sorts of episodes where it doesn't feel like the point they're trying to make, or if indeed they are even trying to make a point, where you feel like it's not coming across?
So I really think that they just wanted to have some kind of. I think it's hard because what they have is like they probably have a start and a middle, but they never knew how to finish it. So then they just like slap haphazardly, like slap chopped it together,
Mm,
and like that's the ending, surprise. And it's like, oh, really? You just that like okay, I guess. It's a little disappointing because you have like some kind of great idea of like the storytelling, but it is possible for someone else that had this idea be like, okay, we want this, and then they ran out of time, and then they
mm,
probably had that. So there's multiple things that could have probably just messed up their story as a whole. Because I think it's season one, the salesmen guys, they were in the
yeah.
desert, and then they find like the spirit swimming fish people things, and like that was like a cohesive story without needing so much storytelling to be told, and then you can have the rest of it filled in with your imagination versus like the whole Mars thing. I think they try to play on the same kind of idea and topic, but it just didn't translate well in a different setting, and they gave too much backstory. You know what I mean? So
Mm,
it's like sometimes you can get away with less information on a story, and then it'll just ride the wave and make sense.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like you can have a really good idea, but then you can't like execute it.
Yeah. No, I see that. I see that. And to your point about them, sometimes having a beginning, middle, but not necessarily having a full on fleshed out end. I feel like a lot of them, or quite a few of them, could have worked better as maybe more drawn out story, maybe even having their own sort of series to tell a
Oh my
story.
god, right.
Because
Absolutely.
it does a lot of time feel like, okay, end, and it's like, okay, cool. And I get that, again, they're short stories. I understand that, but at the same time, it kind of ends and it doesn't feel like an ending. It just feels like they ran out of tape. Like,
Oh my god, right.
you know what I mean? Like,
Which one is it? I think it's called Release Me, the one where you find Cthulhu at the end. I'm like, "Oh my
oh yeah, yeah,
god."
yeah, yeah.
That is
The
one of like I don't want to call it my favorites, but that surprise ending got me because I was like, "Oh, they're gonna get to the end. They're gonna escape. Oh, yay, it's a good ending." No,
yes, man.
bitch, there was a M Night Shyamalan end like twist. Oh my god. I was like, "Oh, I could watch this shit all over again. What's going on here?"
Yeah,
Like,
she ends up
okay,
walking away and into some long desert, whispering some alien language. Um,
great.
and
Gouged eyes out and no ears. Like,
yeah, it's like,
okay, first
okay,
off, if you cut off your ears, that's not going to do anything. You have to gouge out your ears too, because then you kill the eardrum. Like, sorry, I know about that, but you gotta like this, and then you got like this, and then you won't be influenced. But definitely Sony's Edge. That could be a whole series. I would wholeheartedly sit there
yeah,
and watch it
yeah,
like 20 times every day because of how good that one is. That's like one of my favorites and tops. Like
yeah.
just the whole story. Yeah.
Sonny's Edge kind of felt like the middle of a story. You know what I mean? Like it felt like there's already been something I mean, of course, they're all in the middle of a story, technically speaking. Like, but you know what I mean? Like, it
Yeah,
kind
it
of
was
felt
totally in
like
the middle of somewhere.
if you imagine how a TV show works, like say, I don't know, 10 episode TV show. This felt like this could have been episode 5. You know what I mean? Like,
Or six. Yeah.
yeah, it kind of had that kind of feeling to it where it starts off, but there's clearly all kinds of things really happen. Like she's there's fighter, going into rings. There's something about she's the only woman in that
like monster, like
in that
monster
arena.
tamer kind of.
Yeah, and then of course by the time it ends and you find out actually it wasn't her controlling the monster; it was the monster controlling her.
The
You know,
human.
yeah, because her edge was that she is like, whereas everyone else was, I guess, the monster was the puppet.
Right.
She was a monster. So when she was fighting, and it's just something about, I'll fight like my life depends on it because, well, I guess it really does.
Right.
But that kind of felt like there was like 2-3 episodes before, and there's maybe another 2-3 episodes afterwards. Somewhere in the middle of a season. That's what that episode felt like.
Right. And then you could also go forward and be like, okay, Dicko, like this guy is part of a mafia who paid him, and then like she wants to take down the syndicate next, or she keeps fighting because they like made such a beautiful landscape going into it of like there's this really beautiful middle of the city light up area and very posh, and then it starts to travel to the outskirts of the city where it's darker, grimier. They had to use black light paint to enter like an abandoned warehouse, and that one that's why I really love Sony's Edge. Like for the short amount of time that they gave us, they gave such a powerful story of like, okay, yeah, it's a very feminine forward thing, but it's like it's not just feminine forward, it's like alien monster Pokemon fighting thing, and I'm like, oh, plus it was like really great graphics, like animation wise. Like, yeah, it was stylized, but it still looked very human. Like, I could probably see someone like that living this day and age. I thought that was like really cool.
Yeah,
so that one's still one of my favorites.
Yeah, it had almost what's that one we were talking about the other time? The game that you play all the time, or not all the time, but you used to play a lot. Yeah, what's that show called again?
Arcane.
Arcane, that was it. Yeah, yeah, it had almost kind of arcane kind of look to it, and or kind of feel to it. Or did you think that as someone who knows more about League of Legends and Arcane?
If Arcane was more CGI'd and less cell shaded and less like anime stylized, it would probably look like that. Because it had that same mood, it had the same gray undertones and darkness and dirt and grime for the undercity of Zon. I could totally see that.
Yeah, I guess one really think of those that the Sunny, or at least the one that we think is Sunny, the human version.
Human avatar, let's say.
Yeah. She has a very kind of similar style to V in Vi, sorry.
No worries, I'm here. For anyone who hasn't seen that episode, make sure to check out our podcast on Arcane. We also had another person on it.
We need to plug the episodes. We're not plugging them enough. So yeah, definitely appreciate you plug the Cyberpunk one. Now we've got to plug the Arcane one too.
Been in, waiting for the Wednesday plug.
Well, you're wearing black.
I am wearing black.
So that's kind of a connection.
Hold on, let me sit like Morticia.
Yeah.
I don't even remember. She's like this.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so silly. Anyways. Sunny could have been one. I think I don't think the Secret War. Suits, definitely. I would love to see like a Suits kind of one, the one where they're farmers on the moon fighting the enemy horde, like swarm horde. I think just that kind of like daily banter of fun, just living and talking shit, being like a farmer kind of guy would be fun to watch, and just be like, oh shit, they got to suit up this episode. Holy shit! It doesn't have to be every episode, because then you can have like a 4-episode battle. Like that's okay.
They could almost be like a Walking Dead type thing, where it's like you've got these farmers and they're dealing with this sort of alien invasion type thing. They don't know what it is. Their suits are getting destroyed, their mech suits getting destroyed, and now they're trying to maybe contact other farmers while trying to navigate this world. And I thought that could definitely be like a series like that's maybe Suits the first episode of that series that kind of goes on, and then you got like I don't know,
like that's the pilot, and then you go off of that.
Carl, you gotta have that at some point.
Carl.
Oh.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't think there's any others that I would say have to be one. I think Lucky 13 could be one because that one went on several missions that she mentioned in like the beginning. I'm trying to
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, that could be like a whole, maybe like a. I feel like that could be a movie. Like if you could
Really?
develop that episode into a movie, like maybe like an hour and a half to 2 hour movie, Lucky 13, and maybe
It's
just go into
possible.
more detail about how, maybe a little bit before she joins them and her sort of a journey, and maybe kind of a little bit of a history with like flying and and then Lucky 13 the
Mhm.
ship and coming into that. I feel like that could be a really cool, sort of sci-fi action movie.
No. Okay, so going back to Arcane and Styles and still
Or maybe
relating
not so
it.
much
So
sci-fi,
season
but
two,
action for sure.
yeah. So season two, Ice, the one of the teenagers running and doing the jumping on the ice and such.
Yes, yes,
That could be a really cool series of like modified teenagers running around on Mars, or I guess it's Mars, and like just trying to survive doing things. And they're kind of like dramas of, hey, why aren't you modified yet? You should get modified. Instead of like the whole like, oh, drugs and sex, wow, woo. Like, I'd welcome something new like that. Oh
yeah.
no, my life. Oh God, frost oils. Oh,
What I liked about that episode actually is they it was like the older brother was it was a wholly unmodded 16-year-old, and because of that he felt a little bit like an outcast. Like we really cared about him that much. People kind of looked at him like some kind of weirdo. They called him the extra. That sort of thing. And he was actually the older brother. Like usually you might find it's the younger brother that might feel a bit more of the because doesn't get to hang around with the older kids and that kind of thing, and the one that's kind of tagging along. Whereas this case was the older brother that was feeling. I thought it was kind of a different kind of take on, I guess, something that a lot of people feel with, but just from a different perspective, rather than a younger kid feeling it, it's an older kid feeling it. They didn't really explain. I don't think they explained like why he was unmodded, because it didn't really seem that he didn't necessarily like. It wasn't like, oh, I hate mods and I don't want to get mod. It wasn't really like that. You
no,
know.
I don't remember them talking about it. And I think that's why I would pitch it probably as a full season, just to give like more backstory to the two brothers and the family, why they're there. Like, what's the point of modding? Like, is it necessary to live on the new planet? Or I think it would just be really nice that they would flesh that idea out. I think that would be really cool to explore
Mm,
that story.
yeah, no, for
So
sure.
I don't think they actually hit it in this short segment.
Yeah, and I definitely do think there's a lot to be said in the realms of, people who do feel, kind of outside of society, or, outside of the cool kids, type thing. Because I think at some point, probably most, if not all of us, go through that kind of stage where, you're on the outside looking in, you know, and you feel like nobody really notices you, or nobody really like kind of pays you any kind of attention like that. But yeah, I do think there's definitely a lot to be said about that. And in a world where I guess humans have kind of moved on to this whole place, and like you say, we need to have modern, like how does that feeling that we're used to on Earth, how does that translate to people in a new world? You know, if he can't be modded for whatever
Right.
reason, what does he do instead? And is that viable? Is that good? Is that healthy? Is that something that he wants to do? Or is it something that he doesn't want to do? Like there's so many areas you can kind of delve into like, the mindset of somebody who kind of lives in this world and feeling, and even his parents kind of looking at him like, oh, he needs to build character, that kind of thing. Like his dad was saying something like that. It's about character, it's about
Right.
personality or lack thereof. He doesn't, you know, but right, your parents are supposed to be the ones that like have your back, and well, let's be honest, that's not always the case. And I guess in this new world that doesn't change. So
Right.
yeah, there's definitely a lot, I think, of storytelling just even within that bit that you can do that could flesh out into I don't know, maybe multiple seasons possibly in and of itself.
Depends on the writers. You never know.
Oh yeah,
Like
always
writers
gonna need
could
good
either keep
writers.
it going or ruin it. You never know.
Hmm.
So I have to ask, do you
Okay.
have a favorite season of Love, Death, and Robots?
Favorite season? Oof.
Yes. Because there's 3.
There is Fred. There is Fred. The first season was like 18 episodes, and the rest of them are like half that. So,
Yeah.
I guess season one technically has most of my favorite episodes, just on the basis of it being the longest season. So I don't know if that's fair, you know. But
I mean, if you have other one, it's like
uh,
I would
um,
dare say like some people liked it or some people don't. Season 2 is pretty forgettable in my book, unfortunately. Let me see.
yeah.
Season 2, yeah, season 2's best episode for me was let's see, it was Santa Claus
Oh yeah, yeah. Was it the all the house within all not creature
all through
within
the
the
house.
house? All for the house. That was it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um.
that's the only one that I really absolutely loved. But yeah, I would still
hmm.
say season 1 takes the cake.
Yeah, I think I'm going with
Not because of
season
the
one.
number of episodes, but there are like just 3. Like I said, my top favorite stories are in that one.
Yeah, nah, same, same. I think I'm gonna go with season one. Yeah. I think yeah, most not one. Yeah, yeah, or definitely most of my favorite episodes. Maybe not all. A couple outside of it, but definitely most of my favorite episodes from season one. In particular, The Witness, which I'll say might even be my favorite episode actually.
Is
Because
it?
I love the concept of this kind of time. It's not really time travel, but I guess in some case like time manipulation or some sort of like
It's
Groundhog
a
Day
time
type thing.
paradox.
Like I don't know if you ever saw that movie, The Triangle, or that's not The Triangle. It's just called Triangle. Excuse me, no the bit Triangle.
Oh,
Um,
I haven't.
but it's to do doing like kind of looping and like time looping. And this does that as well, but it does it in a slightly different way where, she sees the murder, she sees, this person killing somebody, doesn't see who it is. And then that person sees her. And then so it feels like it's a chase from him to her to try and cover up the crime at some points. And then it kind of feels towards the end of the chase like maybe there's more to it, and maybe like he's trying to maybe get her on her side or something like that, that sort of thing. But of course, by the time you get to the end, and then she's killing him, and then she looks out the window and sees him, and then it's like the repeat of that loop, but now the roles are reversed, So I just
Right.
thought that was a really cool, interesting way of doing the time loop. So yeah, I like the witness. I like the witness.
It has really good art style too. Like I like the idea of it, but it's just to me there's not a lot of like the other underlying like love, death, and robots. It's just a lot of death.
Yeah.
Like other than that, it doesn't really fit my agenda of like the title name.
Yeah, it's got the death bit twice at least. So
Yeah.
no robots, I don't think. But there was
They
that
have
woman
was,
who
you know.
was kind of dressed looking like almost like a robot. And you want this a puppy? That woman.
Yeah.
She had that robot kind of look to her.
Yeah. I mean they had robots in it, but that wasn't part of the main storyline.
But yeah, and yeah, I guess there's no love. Well, not that kind of love. I mean, I guess there's love of self-preservation, trying to say, run away from somebody trying to kill you. But
I mean,
it's a type of love.
I think that I would dare say that you don't need to love yourself for that, but there's a lot of people in the world who need that kind of help to love themselves. So
Mm,
I'll take that. We'll just take it in stride. I don't think it's the right answer, but it's fine. Because, like,
yeah,
the woman that runs around, she's also like a sex worker. And
yeah.
she's like, oh, yeah, I'm just running away from this guy. I just want to dance. And then it just shows like this whole like naked dancey segment. And I was like, is this necessary? She's trying to run
Mm.
from her life and then she goes to strip.
Yeah,
That
that
will make
that's
no sense.
probably a little bit. Well, not even probably. That was that was a bit. Yeah, maybe keep running. Like
maybe get to the
like
authorities.
or
Like your
hide
priorities
somewhere,
are out
or
of order.
find a
That's
telephone or
all.
something. Like maybe don't be in the view of the public. Where you're just kind of waiting.
Yeah,
Like, oh, there's a guy who I'm running away from in the crowd. Like, better keep running.
yeah, that was a bit awkward.
Mhm.
Anyway,
But with the Love, Death and Robots, there were, I think, yeah, two episodes that were definitely directly connected, like the three robots episodes. And
hmm
I do kind of feel like in some way, whether directly or indirectly, all the other episodes are somehow connected to that, though I haven't quite necessarily pieced that all together as exactly how some seem a bit more obvious than others, like the whole thing about cats, for example. Like,
right.
cats comes up a few times in a lot of the episodes. Um, but with the three robots episodes, they were set, long after humans have gone away and died, and they talk about people getting too greedy, or people not paying attention to what's really going on, or people believing they could survive if they like kind of hunker down and live in like real small communities, and there's various like examples of people just kind of trying to do their thing to live, and none of it worked. They all either ended up killing themselves, just dying, or just something just going wrong. And I think that the kind of theme that seemed to run throughout was that humans effectively just get too dumb and greedy. That seemed to be what was happening. And
Right.
in all honesty, that doesn't sound too far from the truth. I think sometimes
Yeah.
we can get a little bit too dumb and greedy, and definitely greedy. So, like, I mean, how do you feel about that in terms of the possible end of humanity, that we just got too greedy for our own good? Do you think that's realistic? Do you think that's way off, or do you think there's hope for us to change our ways?
No, absolutely, it's realistic. And they kind of portray that in also Walking Dead, because at a certain point, humans don't know how to do everything, right?
Mm,
So if someone doesn't know how to fish, they're going to go find someone who knows how to fish, or they're going to steal and steal their fish. In a certain sense, it's like survival of the fittest. And if your survival instinct is to go steal something from someone else as opposed to learn it for yourself, that's already a problem, because you're going to start seeking out help, but then turns out you're going to be a bad person, and then you're going to kill
mm,
them because XYZ kind of thing, because you can't get along. And that's where I think like the micro communities where you can have what they called a blood pit. Um, I think that's safe for yourself and maybe your family, but after that point, you're going to have like a lot of inbreeding. So then they're going to die that way. So it's like, yeah, your family line's not going to live long enough, because then eventually everyone's just going to become your family. And then people are going to die because of inbreeding. And then the people who can't actually do survival skills such as like hunting, fishing, or even crop growing like farming, that's a problem. Or even making like carpentry, got to build yourself a nice house. At a certain point you're going to get sick, so then you don't know the science skills to be able to make like painkiller, or what is this, what's that thing? Cough syrup or something, even penicillin. You can't make that, so you're going to die. If you're diabetic, you're going to die because you can't get insulin to pump. So it's just like, yeah, I think it's very safe to say like people get greedy, and then with that, their survival instincts are just like, I need someone to do this for me. Otherwise, I'm just going to go like animalistic and primal.
yeah. Yeah, they and they kind of did it with the when they talk about the tech millionaires, where they left
Mhm.
all the people who can do sort of manual labor behind, and entrusted everything to automation. You know, and of course that all went wrong. And I think like they even kind of mentioned this. I'm sure they mentioned this or something similar about if only people learn to work together. And they I think they just kind of laugh it off, because like it's like people learn to work together. Really, that's preposterous. And it does kind of feel like that. Sometimes I think in society, like we don't, we like I saw this video on YouTube actually some years back, where they talked about the evolution of humans. Now I don't know how realistic this video is. I'm not even going to attempt try and prove or disprove it. But at the very least, it sounds, in my mind, it sounds like very plausible. And basically what I said in this video was that, you go back far enough in human history, you had to learn how to do everything. You had to learn how to hunt, you had to learn how to cook, you had to learn to take care of yourself, you had to learn to, protect yourself and your family. You have to learn to do all these different skills just to survive the day, right?
Right.
And eventually get to a point where you can start building walls, and when you build walls you can protect yourself a little bit, which means you don't have to do as much, and when you don't have to do as much you can do something else, and eventually this gets better and better and better and better to the point where we are now, where you can have people who specialize in certain things. So people who specialize in making medicine, people who specialize in making clothes, people who specialize in music, people specialize in other things. There's so many areas you can specialize in or go into. And rather than feeling like, well, I'm better than this person because I do this and whatever, and we're more important, the truth is we all need each other, because we're not at that point back in time where when one person has to have a whole bunch of different skills. Now we're at a point where one person can have one, maybe two. I mean, of course, there's always going to be people who learn a bunch of different stuff, but generally speaking, you could have like one or two skills. And even the people who do learn lots of different skills, even then you're not going to learn everything. So,
Right.
we still need each other. Nobody's more important. Nobody's better. We're just different. And, if right, if we could, and I think generally speaking, some of us kind of do, but, on a wider scale, if we could kind of understand that better, that it's not about this, that, and the other. Just it all kind of comes together, and we all kind of help each other in different ways. We might just be able to do okay, and you wouldn't have a scenario where you're just leaving a bunch of people behind because we just got robots now. We don't need people, and then of course the robots start malfunctioning and turning against you, and it's like, who's going to fix that? So yeah,
what are you gonna do?
I think there's definitely lots to be said about humans and our arrogance and our kind of belief and self-importance, and and how that never helps us, and yeah, hopefully we can get past that, but might be a big if.
I just think it's really hard. It's a really hard thing because there's a lot of self-preservation, and especially within the USA, I know that there's a lot of people who like try to stand out or do something to be unique, and it's like very different here in Denmark. It's very, you need to blend in with society and be like part of the collective to do better for this. And it was mind-boggling because a lot of people here are dedicated to recycling and sorting their trash properly. And in the USA, it's like, okay, there's a rubbish bin, just throw my can in there, when you can recycle aluminum can.
Okay. Still there? I think we might be having some tech difficulties. Damn it, the robots are malfunctioning. Celeste, can you hear me? I don't know if you could hear me. I cannot hear you, and your screen has frozen. Oof. Let's see if we could sort this out real quick. Can. Oh wait, we back?
Oh no, we lost
back?
connection.
We back.
Yes.
Hi.
We
back. We back. We're back. Okay.
Look at
Yeah.
that.
Sorry.
Malfunctioning.
Yeah, kind of cut
You're
off.
like, stop popping off.
Yeah. Kind of cut off around about the time you were saying about Denmark and recycling.
Right. And like, there's a lot of people in the USA who don't recycle, and then there's a lot of people in Denmark that do recycle. And I remember this one time we were out drinking, and this one guy's like, "Hey, can I have some money?" And he was a bum. And you're not allowed to do that in Denmark. You're not allowed to ask for handouts. That's illegal because the government gives you a lot of money if you need assistance, and you actually physically need like a card, like a card that says you don't want help from the government, that allows you to beg for money. And so we were talking to this girl that we had met, and he's like, "Can I have some money?" She's like, "There's money over there." And she was pointing to the garbage. And she's like, "Yeah, just go turn in the oh, I don't want to work." She's like, "Well, that's not my problem then." And it's like, yeah, that's right, bitch, because that is free money. That's trash that you can turn in because you're not above it. I'm not above it. I do it. I get money that way. So, like, I'm not just going to give you something for free. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. You don't just get free handouts like that. So, yeah, it's just kind of like this whole idea of like, oh, woe is me, help me. But I think that, like, there's always stipulations around certain things. Like, if the system's repressing you, then yeah, the system might be repressing you. If it's in your head, then yeah, it might be in your head because of conspiracy theories. I'm not going to say every case is the same, but if you can't do if something's not within your power and the system won't help you, then the system's probably against you. Just saying.
You know, that sounds like a pretty good system you guys got in Denmark, though, about the government directly helping sort of underprivileged people. And was it you could turn in trash and you could collect money that way? That's pretty cool. I think I've heard of similar things. I don't know if they still do them, but I think I've heard of similar things in the UK at one time. Something about bottles, I think, but I never really looked into it in the end. But yeah, no, if they're not doing it over here, then it should be. So that sounds like a really good idea.
Yeah, like the whole recycling pant or like plastic and aluminum is so big here. Like, I've actually right before, like when COVID hit, and I would have to walk on my dog Bowser. I remember seeing this old man just walk around and check the garbage bins just for extra bottles, and he would take it out just to earn like probably an extra 100 crowns, which is roughly like $20, I think. Hold on, let me do the math. Because I don't know the math. I think it's 15. Yeah, it's like 16. It's stupid.
Very cool.
Anyways. So, yeah, it's just kind of silly in that essence of like, there are ways you can help society and do things. I'm not saying practice sustainability every day and do the best you can for the future, which would be nice. So if you guys could take care of your trash and take care of everything and not hurt the environment, so that way my son and my future children, because I'm not going to be immortal. Unfortunately, I didn't choose that pill. Maybe we could take care of the planet together. I'm doing my part. Do your part. Make sure to check out Cyberpunk, our podcast, so you can see what I'm talking about. So we have a future.
Indeed. You're killing it with the plugs today, right? You are killing it with the plugs today.
Woo!
You are killing it with the plugs today, man. All right. I like it.
This was supposed to be my Cyberpunk outfit, but I was like, no, I'm not feeling this for Cyberpunk. I felt my cute anime top. If you want to see what that looks like, go watch the episode.
One more time. Yeah, hey, you are killing it. You know what? You are awesome. Appreciate it.
Anyways, back to Love, Death, and Robots.
Yeah, so Love, Death, and Robots.
There was one episode that kind of caught me off guard, though.
Okay.
For season 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so for season 3, remember the crab monster boss battle on the ship?
Oh yes. The Thanapod?
Yeah. That one caught me off guard. It was a really crazy episode. I don't hate it, but that didn't feel like a Love, Death, Robots episode to me. That was just like, let me just add this because we don't have something.
Definitely a lot of death,
you know what I mean?
For sure. But
yeah, they just death. I definitely don't think he needed to kill every single crew member either.
It was a bit, yeah. I mean, I guess I liked the episode. I will say that I did like the episode in the sense that, you know, it was an interesting story, right? And an interesting way it kind of developed. And of course, you find out he pretty much tricked everybody in the end. Even the whole Thanapod he tricked. But yeah, like, did he really have to kill everybody? It did kind of feel that way. Like, you just murdered a bunch of people. But did you have to?
For self-preservation, remember? You know? We're talking about that.
Actually, to be fair, they did. A lot of them did try to kill him. But they only really tried to kill him because he was killing a bunch of people. You know, because he killed like the 2 guys in the beginning. Like he just shot one bullet, 2 kills, and then I think he killed a few other people. And then the other guys were just like, "Look, we need to do something." So they tried to kill him, but of course that didn't work. So. Yeah, I don't know, like, I'm not sure he had to kill everybody. You know, I think he could have handled that differently. Like, because I get, because ultimately it was like he gave them everybody a choice. Either we do what the Thanapod says and take it to, was it Thaddeus
The
Island
island.
or
Yeah.
whatever it's I can't remember what it's called. I think I wrote Faden Island. Either take it to Faden Island and he would go on Faden Island and the monster would just kill everybody there, or to do what he suggested, was to take him to an abandoned island and lie to the Thanapod about where they're taking him, which is ultimately what
Right.
happens because he kills everybody. And they all voted to go to Faden Island, which, I mean, of course, I don't know if that's that people are scared. You know what I mean? Like, people are scared. They're scared that if they take it to the abandoned place, they're going to end up being killed when we figure out they tricked him. People are scared, and I feel like that's really what that was. And perhaps had he at least tried, at least tries to talk to them and say, hey, look, I get it, we're scared, but we really can't take this thing to an island for it to just kill a bunch of people.
No,
We
no.
really can't do that.
Know what I do? That, like, the people on that ship that died, they made the wrong choice. You know what? They all had access to the lifeboat. They could have gone on the lifeboat at night, pack some food, and be like, we're out, bitch. Like, you deal with that. They could have easily done that. But they died because they thought that they had to stay on that boat. It's like that Five Nights at Freddy's kind of complex where it's like, you don't have to stay in this. You could probably risk getting away, but you think you're safe by staying inside this little office, and the office is the boat, but you're not safe because there's still monsters lurking, So it's like, you might as well just take your chances and leave. Like, why not? There's still going to be other monsters. Is this the worst one? Yeah, it's the worst one because it's right underneath you. And there's a guy telepathically talking to this thing. You don't know if you're the next one. So why are you staying there? It's not like you're eating its babies for nourishment. If anything, it's eating your food on top of your friends. And, well, maybe it's not your friends, but your shipmates, They're dumb. Should have left. But it just felt out of place for Love, Death, and Robots. Love to death, but...
Yeah, it got loads of that. Also, like, in the end, he kills it. Well, it doesn't really kill it, but he eventually gets away by setting the boat on fire because they had the oil tankers and oil barrels in the bottom of the ship. And he could have, like, let the people know that was the plan. You know what I mean? Like, he could have been like, hey, look, I've got an idea. What we're going to do? Get the boats ready. And then...
What's that?
We'll set the thing on fire. And then we'll get out of here on the boats. He could. I mean, I don't know how big the boats were. Maybe not everybody could fit anyway. But I don't know. Like, it was a cool episode. Like, I mean, I liked the episode. It was a cool story, and I like gruesome, bloody deaths as much as possible. But yeah,
Okay.
it did feel a little bit. You didn't have to do that. You could have found another way. I think, like, you could have found another way. You could have. I don't know. Could have taken a few extra steps. But yeah, I guess with that episode though, because I mean, it's set. It's not the only one set in the past, no. But I guess it feels more like Pirates of the Caribbean. If Pirates of the Caribbean was, not a children's movie, like, you know what I mean?
It's not children's movie. I wouldn't call Pirates of the Caribbean a children's movie.
I mean, they're not like violence and swearing and
they're like parental vision teenager movie. Okay, but to me it's like teenager plus movie, like 13 plus, but it's not like 5 plus.
Okay, yeah, not like maybe not little kids, but yeah, it's you know what I mean. It's a fact. Well, okay, okay, a better way to say it. Pirates of the Caribbean. If Pirates of the Caribbean wasn't a family movie. Okay. If Pirates of the Caribbean wasn't family friendly.
You're talking about no. Okay, I'll reverse it for you. You're talking about this is like Pirates of the Caribbean, the science fiction rated R version.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because like they do have ridiculous creatures and stuff, but they're not freaking like telepathically talking.
Yeah, it was like Didn't that thing hear them talking though? Like, I mean, That thing was like below the deck. Couldn't it hear them talking? You know,
It
like it
should.
did. Because it didn't seem like it could hear them. Like they were like talking all kinds of like, I want to do this, I want to do that, and then the creature didn't seem to know at all that they were potentially
Well,
going to plot
you
against
know
it.
the way that they, the way that they kind of explained it. They were kind of like meh, like I guess maybe it didn't have the greatest hearing because they talked a lot and had gunshots, and then it's like feed me, you know. So I don't think it had great hearing, but it can only hear within a certain proximity.
And they also don't think they explained how that thing got on the ship because that was huge. So surely it
Yeah,
couldn't have
how the
just like
hell do you
walked
get
through
a
the
ship?
door. You know,
Yeah,
like
it's just
could
like
have just
here,
like
open the cargo at the bottom, let some of the water flood in, let the water
yeah,
flood out. And that didn't make any sense.
yeah, it was just there. Like, was it on the ship before they boarded? You know, did it sneak
We don't
aboard
know.
where no one was there and it just waited until a bunch of people got on and apparently didn't check the cargo deck? Like, what happened? What
Your guess
happened?
is as good as mine.
Yeah, it was just there. Well, no, actually, it could have grew there because, like, you know, those little baby things. Maybe one of it started as a little baby and it grew into that big
Little
thing.
pincher Krabby, and then
Yeah,
Krabby Patty just kept eating wood, and then it just was like, I'm hungry for human.
but then how would it know
Everyone
about
thought
Faden
just bite
Island?
off like a toe.
Yeah,
Oh man, my toe's missing this week. What happened? I don't know, man.
yeah. Do you think that one could be its own series?
No, no, I don't think so. Like that entire story was closed and finished. If they want to flesh it out to like an 8 episode series, maybe you could do that and then have a lot of characters' backstories fill in the episode. But those episodes could only be max 30 minutes of
Mm.
like, okay, so the way that they could make that into a series is one, they get to the location and then somehow they like show the ship like rocking right, and then little crab boy comes on board, gets touched by uranium, boom, explodes, big crab. And that's like already to episode 5, and then they start sailing back, and then okay, so this is going to probably be an 18 episode thing if they're already at episode 5 because they had to dig up for the oil. And then they have to have like that banter between the crewmates and like oh ho ho good fun cheers and shit. And now you have the characters established, so they're starting to sail back episode 7, and then you actually get to the monster around episode 9 because you had to preload to that and like people getting scurvy. And then episode probably 11 now, you have like the whole I'm a giant crab, I gotta eat people because I'm starving, otherwise I'm gonna eat you. And so then that's where we go from there. Probably up to 20 episodes max if it's a 30-minute thing.
Funny. I feel like you gave that a lot of thoughts in such a short time. That was pretty
I did
detailed.
it.
That was so
I'm so
detailed.
good at this,
Start talking about
Like,
getting scurvy. It's like, raw. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, you
they
could get
don't know
scurvy.
how far away this island is. Like, they gotta get supplies. Look what they did with Lost, okay? Lost is too long, and they use time travel at a certain point, okay?
Yeah, you know what? I feel like I'm the only person, or at least one of very few people that actually watched Lost the whole way through.
My
Um,
husband did.
okay, me and him then. Okay, we're
Yeah,
not the
he
only
tried to
ones.
get me to like it, and I'm just like, that's Evangeline Lilly. That's the only thing I got from Lost. I was like, oh my god, it's the chick from The Hobbit. Oh my god, it's Wasp. That's it. Got nothing else.
It
That's
was a
where she
good
got her
show though.
start.
But yeah, Lost. It definitely went on too long. I think that's fair. It definitely went on too long. It probably should have been like 4 seasons, maybe 5 max. But
Yeah, that's okay.
yeah, it definitely went on. I watched it all the way to the end. I enjoyed it. I was okay with the ending. I know a lot of people hate the ending. I was okay with it, but it's. I think it's fair to say it went on too. It probably should have stopped around episode. Sorry, around season. To
Womp
close that
womp.
off then and like
Yeah, what can you do? What
Lost.
can you do? What can you do? I don't know.
Let's see. What else can we talk about with Love Death? Because I guess there's a lot to talk about with the whole 3 seasons, and there's a lot I don't think we mentioned just yet. Um,
Oh God.
like I guess some of the episodes, to be fair, are quite forgettable for various reasons, because whether they're not necessarily that interesting or whether
Or
they're just really really
they're just
short and
generic,
don't really do much. And
right?
yeah,
Because
um,
like they had a lot of generic episodes. One of them being Night of the Mini Dead. I was like, wait,
mm,
what is this? And it was just a zombie apocalypse thing. There was also the multiple Dracula kind of things. Um, and some of those were just like pushovers, because it's revisiting kind of the same topic that they already had of like the first season. They're like, okay, we're going in this cave and we need a cat. And it's like a Dracula thing. And it's like, okay, that's fine.
yeah, Dracula hates cats. Yeah.
Ooh, I hate cat. Okay, fine. And then it's kind of just like, how many more original stories can you go since the first season had so many? It's like,
Yeah, first season, yeah, 18 episodes, and it just dropped down like, oh no, I mean, I only watched this whole thing recently. I mean, do you happen to know why the first season was 18, then it goes down to like 8, 9? Like, did they just figure, maybe 18 is a bit too much, or were they just like kind of had
so I
18
do
episodes
believe
and needed 3 seasons or something like?
it went more toward more high budget studios that could do more CGI rendering more realistically. And because
Okay.
of that, like I mentioned earlier, that's harder to do. So it costs more and the stylized and the stories. So if you look at season 3, right? Jibaro, the last episode, that one they actually had to use live action motion capture for the dancing, the running, and a lot of those scenes to get the right movements that they wanted, and that you have to hire trained dancers to do. So that costs money. You also need the motion capture studio and the suits. Again, that's money. On top of
Mm,
that, you need the rendering of the environment and the artists. So that becomes a really big, hefty fee for this just one episode. Also, I do believe now this is just something I think is true. Feel free to correct me in the comments. It's cool. I'm okay with being wrong, but I do believe that they had to submit their ideas first, and then they would choose the ideas that they liked the best, along with the storyboarding and the art style. Because was it season 2 or 3? I think it's 3, right? Of where they had the the colony, the queen. You remember the guy was
oh
trying to,
yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
The whole alien, you wanted to make them
alien
into
nest thing.
slaves or something. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that one on its own, that one was a very big immersive CGI world, and that had multiple different assets and different characters. So that alone, building that out, that's like almost Pixar quality. So that's pretty expensive. So when you have something that's super realistic or in super high definition, it will cost more to produce, and you can't really flesh out smaller stories, even if they're just like simply like cell shaded or just drawn. It does take away a little bit, and that's why some of the stories need to be like really fleshed out or really well done. I can't say that season 3, the last one, had any bad episodes. Um, yeah, there was definitely no bad episodes in season 3. They were all unique. Some of them were more memorable, but I do think season 2 had a weaker series as a whole compared to season 1 and season 3, which is unfortunate. But I think they learned their lesson and tried to pour more of their assets into more higher productions, and I think that paid out. But again, that resulted us in having a smaller season.
Okay, no, that makes sense actually. That yeah, I can imagine that being at least close to true. If you know,
I mean,
um,
like speculation probably,
yeah,
but like if you look back at like the episodes that they had for season 3 and how detailed they are, how unique, and like I wouldn't say like James Cameron Avatar level, but they're pretty dang close. They look
yeah.
really good, especially Release Me. I love that one. That one's so good.
Release me.
And it's like, oh my god!
Release me.
And then, oh, I totally forgot the Mason's rats. That
Oh
one
yeah,
was
yeah.
hardcore. Like for just mice, they had to give so much emotion in the mice, and you started really feeling for the little suckers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that robot that you got, that killer robot, the way it was
Oh,
just like, well, that was like something like a Predator or something, just like, brrrr. Like,
that
dude, you
was
killed
the
it.
Schwarzenegger robot killer.
like,
Like, holy crap, Ratatouille. You might as well find a new barn. Like, if I saw that thing slaughtering like my cousins, again, my survival instinct is like, all right, bye, peace. I'm gonna find a different barn without that. It's just no.
I mean, yeah, I think if you had that many rats in a barn, though, yeah, you probably just move, just move,
No.
move. Like,
Okay. So
that point, just get a new barn.
weirdly, YouTube has recommended me. I don't know why. It just came up on my feed one day. Oh, I know why. It's because I was like watching restoration of like old products of like the 1800s, and so one of them was a rat trap that someone restored. I was like, okay, but then it led me down this pipe hole of like rat traps for barns. And I was like, oh my god! And there's like humane ways to get rats out from your barn, so
Sure,
you don't
but
have to.
that many?
Yeah. Some guy
That
was like, yeah,
many?
I caught 32 rats in one night from a simple like dowel peanut butter trick. I was like, the fucking gross. Ugh. Ugh. Are they breeding in there? Jesus, get them out. Either way, it's a
Yeah.
barn, like it's. I would expect to have rats in a barn because it's a safe little place. Like, is it going to bother me? No. But if they get in my house, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, I mean, you're gonna have like rats, mice. I mean, and if you live in the countryside, if you live in well, if you live anywhere really, you're probably gonna have rats nearby.
Yeah, you
But
can
so
live in the
like,
U. I can have rats.
yeah, but like if you got a barn, there's a few rats in there, you put some traps around or whatever. Okay, that is what it is. But that many, like this thing was like piling up dead rats outside, and there was still loads left in the barn. I'm like, you know what? Just have the barn, just have it.
I know.
Like, how
Like,
many
it
were
sounds
there?
bad. It's not like there's not enough space. They just want to live, like, coexist. It's okay. At the end of it, I did like the ending where he just turned off the robot, like, smashed it. So
Well, turned off,
and
yeah.
then he's like, he felt the humanity in stopping killing and keeping his barn clean. Because the truth is, you're not. And it's just like, okay, animals were here first before humans. So it's like, really? Now, I will say this. If a spider surprises me, I will kill it because I don't like surprises.
Well,
Not
well,
spider surprises.
spiders are pretty easy. I mean, you just get a cup and a card, or outside, you're good.
You could take the card and squish it.
I mean, you could a cup, card, side.
No, because I've been getting like they're not doing their jobs. That's for fucking sure. There's too many flies in my house in summertime. There's plenty of spiders. And I've gotten 2 mosquito bites. Do your job or you die. It's as easy as that. You're not hungry? Okay, that's not my problem. My problem is I'm letting you live and you're not doing your job. All you have to do is eat and you're not doing your job.
But
We
we talk
got a
about
problem.
spiders. Spiders not doing their job.
Yeah, they're not doing their job.
They eat the flies.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
Look, I'm not killing them. I'm surprised by them. But if they don't take flies out from a house, we got
Oh,
a
I see.
problem.
So it's like if there's spiders in your house, and there's also flies in your house, then obviously the spiders aren't eating the flies. The spiders
Right.
gotta go. Oh, okay.
Right. They
I
both
gotcha.
gotta go. If one's not gone, they both gotta go. Actually, I'm pretty awesome with the fly swatter at this point now. I'm just like, Hutch!
You know what I found, like, because if you just like try to swat a fly, it's gonna fly away, right? Because like they see in slow motion or I don't know, some crap like that. That might not exactly be true, but then they see different to the way people are. So like if you're just doing this, they're gonna fly away. They'll dodge it. So like the trick I find with flies is to not just swing at it, but to actually just move really really slowly, really slowly. Yeah, especially like if it's on the wall, something like that. Just move really really slowly, and then when you get close up like that, and then 8 9 times out of 10 you're gonna get a fly. That move really,
You're
really
hilarious.
slowly. Really slowly. We get to
You know
about
what my husband does?
if like the fly's there, you get to about there. Like with Swassi gets to about there. Like that.
You want to know what my husband does?
The husband do.
He takes an extremely thick rubber band. You know what I'm talking about? Those like centimeter thick rubber bands. He gets really close, and then he uses a rubber band to hit it.
Bad idea.
No, I just think that's silly. For me, I'm just like, where's my fly swatter? I get into my like fencing stance, and I go. I don't know. I have to get in like my zone to kill.
I kind of like the rubber band like that. The only thing is that if you've got the rubber band like this, you have to be careful you're just not just hitting yourself with it. I guess you got to angle it like just right, so that when you let go, you're not just sitting your thumb. You know,
I don't know. He does it. I've seen him do it multiple times. But the worst part about the rubber band thing is sometimes it doesn't kill it. So it just gets really injured.
Should at least injure it though, right? If you get a hit, then it should at least injure it. It was like dropping the floor, like just, you know, it won't be dead, but just be kind of buzzing on the floor. Like,
no, because there has been a time when it's like flown around. I'm like, are you sure you hit it? And he's like, yeah, I definitely hit it. I'm like, well, you didn't do a good job because now he's flying unless he's lost a testicle or two. Like shit.
Bleeding everywhere. Fly blood.
Ew, I don't need to know that. No, that's the worst. That's the worst when I like kill a fly and then it like leaves like a blood trail. I'm like, not shit. Why? Why couldn't you just be a crusty little dick? That's not nice to say. Flies serve a purpose, but don't serve the purpose in my house.
I don't know. I kind of feel like I don't know. It's weird because sometimes I do feel bad about killing flies. Like
I don't,
because I have I have plants, and when you have plants, right, you know, you often get the fungus gnats that come because they like the wet soil, right? And so I have these fly catchers next to my plants where they're like these sticky pads, so when they just kind of stick to it. And then every now and then you'll see something like stick to it and it just be kind of moving around, but it can't go anywhere because it's stuck. And I'm just kind of like, I mean, it's to protect the plants, right? But man, you know what I mean? Like,
you want to know something sad? I'm gonna piggyback off that because when I used to work at a mall, someone had put down those fly traps, the sticky pads.
Yeah.
And I heard a sound going like, hold on, let me see. Like that. And I was like, oh, there must be like a fly or something somewhere. And then turns out the sticky pad had a mouse on it. And the mouse was struggling to get off. And I was like, I was so heartbroken to see a mouse stuck on a sticky pad. And I called like my boss, like my manager at the time. I was like, what do I do? I'm not prepared in this situation. It's so cute and it's in pain and struggling. I don't know what to do. Work like this. I'm stressed out. I'm sorry. I've just never been in this situation. And he's like, I think you need to call mall security. I'm like, okay, let me call mall security. So I called mall security. I'm like, what do I do? I can't save it. I can't pull it off. Can you like do something? She's like, I don't know what to do either. So we took like a cover and put it on the sticky pad and she took it out back. And I was like, called my boss. I'm like, they took away the poor sticky pad. And I've just never had a situation of seeing like an animal struggle so sad. Cause like I saw it struggle like really hard. So it's like, and like it got out of breath and I could see its lungs like going like breathing in and out and exhaling and like struggling really hard to get off. And it was like so heartbreaking. But if it's a fly, no, fuck you. Like get the fuck out of here. Like I don't need your fucking shit here. Go outside. You don't belong in the building. There's nothing in here for you. Okay. Outside, there's plenty of space. There's plenty of wind. If it's cold, not my problem. Go to a barn. Okay. Thank you. Not the house. But a little mouse, that was, I get you. But if it's a better living creature, not a fly, I don't care. Any insect, don't care. No, you can die.
But mice get compassion, not flies. Okay.
Praying mantis, maybe. Bumblebee, maybe. Oh, bumblebees are kind of cute. Yeah. Anyways, love, death, and robots, right?
But yeah, that was that Mesa's Vets episode. That was an interesting episode because yeah, like you say he befriends Minnie and he respects their courage. You know, I respect your courage, and he drinks their. It made him a drink, which I'm not sure I'd be drinking anything made by a rat, but you know, it's animation, whatever, I guess.
I mean, it's a tiny little sip. It won't kill you.
Yeah, but it was made by a rat. Like, I mean,
I wouldn't drink it.
yeah.
To be fair, I would.
I mean, it's made by a rat in a barn. With what liquids? Like, what are they using to make this drink?
Gasoline, maybe.
I'm definitely not drinking it. Like, this is
I mean, if you want some good ass moonshine, maybe a rat would give it to you.
like probably like piss and blood and
Ew, don't tell me that. Gross.
piss and blood along with blended hay. Just like, all right. Oh, it's got some kick to it. Yeah,
You're going too far.
I'm good.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Yeah, I mean that was a decent episode. What else we got? What else we not talked about? I think we talked about almost everything. I'm sure there's stuff that we haven't mentioned yet. Oh, Life Hutch actually.
I mean, it's over what 30 episodes. So.
Yeah.
Well, no. Maybe.
I'm not sure we're going to talk about all of them. If we don't talk about all of them, that's fine. But we try and talk about at least a good few of them. But yeah, Life Hutch was. I mean, I don't want to say it was a bad episode, but it did. That's I guess that's one of the ones for me that did feel a bit pointless as well. Like you know, cool animation, all of that stuff. The whole thing about you know the maintenance robot malfunctioning, and you know like having to defend himself, and he's all battered and bloody, and trying to pick stuff up, and ends up fighting the robots. Like, okay, cool. But there was like. Yeah, then what? You know, like what? Then what? I mean, maybe that needed more time to flesh out an actual proper story. But yeah, that's not one that did feel a bit pointless to
me. Yeah, I don't really have a great opinion of that one. I think it was just another like, oh, I gotta survive, you know, a spacecraft kind of thing. Like, there's a lot of space kind of things. And it's hard to like, I guess because there is so many, it's hard to just keep going with the same kind of trope. Like they're not really reinventing it or telling a different way.
So with the whole series, well, whole 3 series is really what for you would you think is like? I mean, of course, love, death, and robots is the whole thing. But outside of that, what do you think is the underlying theme of everything, or at least most of it?
Nihilism. Once you're dead, it's dead. There's no meaning after life.
Oh, that does come up, actually, yeah.
Yeah, for real. Like, I was prepared for that question. But really, it was basically like self-preservation. Like, can you survive? What would you do? Does it pique your curiosity? And can you survive if you scratch too far? And I guess, yeah, there's nothing after death, or like what happens when you die, like, or the consequences, quote unquote, of your death. You know.
Yeah, now the concept of like what happens after die, that does come up, I think, at least a few times, or at least it's mentioned at least a few times. And I mean, I guess, I mean, for me, I do believe there's, you know, a heaven and that, you know, and I guess, of course, not everybody does, which is, you know, that's fine. I'm not here to convert nobody, but yeah, it's always one of these things when I come across stuff like this is like, okay, because I kind of think of it as I believe something, but you know I accept that I can't prove what I believe. You know, I can't prove to you. You know, I could talk about my beliefs, but I can't give you a solid, unquestionable proof to you that this is, you know, what's going to happen,
how it happens, like what's XYZ.
And I guess sometimes when these sort of things come up, it kind of feels like they're approaching it from a factual stance rather than a belief stance. You know what I mean? Like they're
Right.
approaching it from a stance of there is no afterlife, rather than I don't believe there's an afterlife. And then it's like, okay,
But like
what am I?
potential idea or
Yeah.
like the possibility.
So I feel like when that comes up, it does kind of feel a bit weird to me, because like for me, it's always like, oh, well, I know what I believe, but I accept that you might believe something else. But then when it comes the other way, it's like, this is what happens. It's like, well, how can you know that? You know what I mean? Like, how can you speak in such with such certainty about something none of us can prove? You know, that's kind of like how what I tend to think of when it comes up in that way. And I think the camera's frozen again. Yeah. Oh, and no, more technical difficulties. Damn it, these robots. Okay. Um, waiting for a reconnect. Are we gonna get a reconnect? Okay. I'm sorry, guys. Technical difficulties again. Oh, cut off. All right. Um, waiting for Celeste to call back in. Um, cut off. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Well,
Are we
I gotta
back?
get
Oh,
going soon, but yeah.
all right. Okay, cool. We'll
Yeah.
we'll wrap
Because
up.
baby's gonna need me in a bit.
Cool.
But anyway, I'm sorry that we keep dropping. At least my camera's not green this time.
Yeah, before it was green cameras, now it's dropping cameras. Okay, well, it only happened twice. Hopefully, it doesn't happen again. But yeah, we'll wrap up
Yeah.
soon. But yeah, I was just saying about the whole kind of life after death thing. Why I approach these things from a belief standpoint. This is what I believe, but I accept that people might believe other things. But then you watch some of these shows sometimes, and they approach it from a very kind of like factual standpoint. This is what happens, or there is no this, and it's like very much talking from a place of certainty. And for me, it's just like you can't really talk with that much certainty about something that none of us can really prove. We just have what we believe or what we don't believe. But yeah, I mean that's a thing that happens. And it's a stance that a lot of shows, well, not a lot, but certainly a few shows take. But yeah, that was what I was saying when it was cutting off. I'm not sure how much of it you heard initially, but I'll be cutting off again. Oh no! Oh no! Oh, oh. Uh-oh, this is twice. No, not even three times, but twice in like space of a few minutes. Oh, mate. Okay. Uh, okay, apologies for the persistent issues. Um, oh, all right. Well, at least in the recording, you guys would have heard what I said. Um, at least in the recording, you guys would have heard what I said. But perhaps it's just not for the for this. Waiting to see if Celeste comes back, but I guess we'd be wrapping up this podcast because she has to go soon anyway. But yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts on that. Uh, you know, but yeah, I mean, overall, I think that the show was pretty. Oh, hey, here we go. We're back. We're
No
back.
clue why, but
We
just
back.
in case. It's
back.
like I keep losing internet connection. We just did change our internet connection. It was stable yesterday, and I don't know why we're having a problem now. Anyway,
Oof.
Hello.
But yeah. Um
Maybe that's a good place to call it. Sorry.
yeah, just might be. But yeah, was there anything else you wanted to add before we end the show?
Yeah, sure. Just to piggyback off you really quickly, I believe in reincarnation. You guys believe in whatever you like. Make sure to leave a comment down below what you believe in. Do you believe in love, death, and robots? Do you believe in the robot overlords because of our cell phones, reliance on internet, just like what happened here? And follow me on social media at Celeste Orchid. I'm not on Threads. Don't try me there. I'm not there. But I am on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook and the Twitter.
Yes, definitely follow Celeste on all the socials. This podcast is actually on Threads, by the way. I did join up, but
Oh,
here's the
look at
thing.
that. I'm in there.
Here's the thing, though. I don't post. I haven't posted anything on it because I'm. It's too many socials right now. There's the only reason why I did it is because I just wanted to reserve the name, just so nobody
Oh,
else takes the
smart. I
name.
should do that.
So that yeah, just in case.
Hey,
But I
bitch.
mean, never say never. But at the moment, I have not posted anything on Threads. But there is an uncivilized art Threads. If you want to follow it, you can. But yeah, maybe don't. Unless, of course, Threads blows up and Twitter dies away and Instagram goes away, and then we just got nothing but Threads, and of course, it is what it is. But
That doesn't make
yeah.
any sense because
Oh well, yeah,
Threads
yeah. It's
actually
all
powered
linked,
by
isn't it?
Instagram and Facebook. It's part
Yeah,
of the metaverse.
yeah. Part of them taking over. Um, but yeah, follow us on socials. Follow Celeste on socials. There'll be a bunch of links in the description. Check out her YouTube cosplay tutorials. Check out her
Ooh,
Instagram cosplay
ooh,
stuff on that is too, and just
ooh.
cool stuff and all around great person. But yeah, definitely drop any comments, suggestions, shows or things you like us to talk about. Drop some suggestions in the comments. For anybody watching and or listening, whether you watched a little bit or watched a lot of bits, I appreciate you. But yeah, that's where we're going to wrap up today. So, whenever, ever, peace.
Bye.